Happy Friday. We are back for the afternoon session of the Alec Murdaugh murder trial. This morning has been mostly crime scene investigation evidence, but we did hear the very first of several interviews Alec Murdaugh gave with police. We also saw a lot of testimony about how evidence is being collected and gathered, and that is where we will resume this afternoon. There was a witness on the stand from the state crime lab. This is from SLED, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and the witness is, where is it? I have it listed. I have it listed which agent it was, but I'm not seeing it in my notes. Oh, there it is. Agent Melinda Worley. Why did I have to find it? Well, because the judge took a little bit of time in there to remind the attorneys, Dick, he was talking to you, about proper courtroom protocol. I had to put on a wrap. I was getting cold in my office, so now I'm like blankied up. It's got armholes. It's my favorite. So now I am cozy because I was getting chilly. It's cold here. It's cold here, man. So I needed to be warm. All right. So I'm going to go through some of the exhibits that are publicly available on courttv.com. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to do all the things. Court is not back in session yet. They take their own little bit of time. That's great. If you're new here, thank you for being here. We will timestamp the relevant changes and witnesses and stuff down below. Replay crew, you know we love you. I know you guys have stuff to do. Thank you for bringing me along today. In the morning, I ask you what you're drinking and where you're coming from. What am I coming along with you to do today? Are we at work? Where are we? Are we grocery shopping? Are we cleaning? Are we crafting? Are we eating? Are we sleeping? Where are we? What are we doing? Let me know. I want to know what we're doing. I have fizzy water with ice, which I promise not to chew on camera. Of course, we've got copious amounts of hydration because we need it. I've got multiple cheese sticks, pretzels, jelly beans. These were sent to me. The can was sent, or the jar was sent to me during Depp v. Heard, because jelly beans factored heavily into that trial for us over here. So we have, the juicy pear because they're needed. I have more jelly beans, and my husband brought me jelly fruit chews. So are we going to candy our way through trial? Maybe. We've got snacks. Let's get into it.
Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not. Let's get into it.
I love seeing where you guys are at and what you're doing. You're doing all of the things, I love being your coworker. It's very enjoyable. Coming in from Newcastle, and playing The Sims. I love The Sims. A friend of mine, Scott White, voices characters for The Sims, which is great. So I love being here, getting rescheduling done for work and getting ready to head to the vet. Fantastic. Dr. B wins on candy duty. He was very, very good. Chilling with a broken big toe in my pawnerd. Actually, it sounds other than the sheets hitting it, it sounds kind of nice to just chill with the pawners. It's great. So you're helping me through a reading for class. Fantastic. I'm here for it. Knitting, breakfast for dinner. Great. Watching my newly epileptic son try to catch up on his assignments before cutoff for the semester. Well, I hope that knowing what is going on is comforting to you and your family. I have friends who have kids with various forms of epilepsy, and their kids have very, very full lives, and it's exciting to see. Question: have you addressed Xana's mother's info about the lawyer dropping her to represent Brian Kohlberger? No, it happened during this case. I know that Ian Runkle has talked about it. He is a defense attorney. I don't know if Natalie Lawyer Chick has talked about it. I know that Andrea Burkhart, I think, was on Runkle's stream. Maybe they didn't talk about that specifically, but I would look to the defense attorneys, but I will be addressing it on my podcast for next week. The court has now come to order. The judge is in the room. Bring the jury. And then we'll get to some of the other items of evidence. I've got those pulled up.
Bring the jury.
I love him. You may bring the jury. Rob brought up a really important question. I got my chicken nuggies. on the way to Woodcraft for a lunch break supply run. Needed Purple Heart and Milk Pint for weekend projects. I love this judge. Look at him. He looks delighted about something. Probably talking to his court staff. How many of you, I'm sorry if I influenced you to eat chicken nuggets. That was not my intention. I was just telling you what I am focused on for lunch. And I do go through the rounds of ADHD hyperfixation on food. It's like, well, when we're in trial, this is what we eat this trial. So I will tend to do the exact same lunch for trial every single day on coverage like this because I do not have the energy to pick different lunches. It's Beans and Franks from The Office. It might be Beans and Franks. Beans and Franks. Frank and Beans. Either way. Lawyer, covered it too. Fantastic. I will be covering it on the podcast for next week. So I see a lot of you were like, nuggies. It's fair. Nuggies are great. Next time I'm going to be like, Dr. B, I'm hungry. Neuroistic. I'm on a cottage cheese hyperfixation. I've been there. It's really good with the little flat pretzel-y things, especially the ones that have the everything bagel seasoning. There are more people in court today, that's for sure.
Agent Worley, I think we left off talking about some items in the feed room.
We're back with Agent Worley.
That being items 17 and 14.
We're going to be laying foundation for everything that came in from the feed room around Paul's body, and then all of the evidence that was collected and listed around
That you had cut open
around
earlier.
others. I'm going to switch feeds.
Item 14 is in that bag.
Dick, are you playing Words with Friends? Bejeweled? Are you watching us? Wave if you're watching us. What are we doing on the phone?
And item 14
Maybe it is Words with Friends.
Pellets from the
Do you think he's a Bejeweled guy?
Feed room floor that you collected.
Yes, that's right.
Texting about
And how
lunch.
do you know that item contains those pellets?
All right, I'm going to switch so we get our
My
3-camera
handwriting
feed.
on the envelope and the description.
Oh,
of
he's
what I
obviously
collected,
playing 2 dots.
with the date, time, and my initials, and my initials and the date on the seal tape.
All right, let
And does
us.
that item appear to have been,
Sorry, we're collecting evidence, switching feeds so that we have, though the sound's a little harsher, we have the 3-camera feed. And the closed captionings, which has given us quite a lot of misfires, I think. She's letting the defense see what's being admitted into evidence, which is proper. So he's keeping his Duolingo streak going. My kiddo was very bummed to miss his Duolingo streak when we went on vacation and he did not have internet access. He was very, very, very bummed. They can't wave in court. I know they can't, Mary. I was being serious. I don't think he's actually in court watching YouTube. I was joking. So, all right, let's go. Dick strikes me as a Candy Crush enjoyer. I think so.
Exhibit 20,
so
the
too.
pellets from the feed room floor, and State's Exhibit 18, the swabs from the door of the feed room into evidence.
Says the defense.
Sorry, no objection.
You're admitted.
I like the says the defense.
All right, Agent
fantastic.
Worley, let's move on to Maggie. Did you have a chance to observe her body?
I did.
And
I like
where was it
Farmville, too.
located?
She was just past the workshop overhang.
So
near
it sounds
the
like we are
doghouse.
moving from the feed
When
room.
you first got out
To where
there,
Maggie Murdaugh's body
did you
is.
see her body, or was it covered?
It was covered with a pink sheet.
So we've gone from where Paul Murdaugh was near what they're calling the feed room to where Maggie Murdaugh's body is. This witness is very serious. Yes. This is a double homicide. This witness collected a lot of evidence, and it's just,
State's Exhibit 50, State's
it's
48,
very
State's
scientific.
47. You could take a look at those and tell us what, in general, they just depict.
so just a very linear
These were
presentation
photos
of evidence.
Maggie, the way she appeared when we arrived on scene, still covered with the pink sheet.
And are those
Which
true
is
and
what we
accurate
expect.
depictions of the crime scene where Maggie Murdaugh was found when you were out there?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, I would offer State's Exhibits 52, 50, 48, and 47 into evidence.
Your Honor, we don't have any objections to these, but I think we need to go through this process, at least on 2 of them, to have them submitted under seal and a placeholder put in effect.
Are they not?
Am I wrong about that?
Is there no placeholder on it? That's fair. That's fair. All right. I didn't send out a text for the afternoon feed. In the morning, I remembered or reminded that there would be 2, but I will set out the link on our members' spaces over on Patreon. So, let's see. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on what's going on with Alec. I think some of this might be just handling the stressful environment. So I think that that is what he's dealing with. I think he's dealing with the stressful environment. That's my perception, but also I'm not going to speculate. We don't know. We don't know why he's doing the things he's doing in court at all. So the closed captioning is just doing its best. Where do we send the judge fan mail? Don't. The court will confiscate it. Judges are not allowed to receive fan mail. They do not take items from the public. They're not allowed to be
Either and number, whatever.
presents, flowers, stuff like that.
Will
No.
on seal State's Exhibit 50 due to its graphic nature, and prepare that placeholder.
It should have been prepared. It should have been prepared. I mean, they knew what was coming in. They knew
Agent Worley.
they knew what was coming in, and they knew what this was.
Exhibit 47.
So
If you could kind of describe that to the jury.
It's a photo showing Maggie's body lying on the ground with the sheriff's office canopy over her, looking toward the overhang for the workshop, and you can see the kennels off to the right.
Okay. And these pictures are kind of hard to see on the screen. Is Paul's body also in that shot?
You can sort of see the pink sheet that's over him, yes.
Like over in front of the feed room door?
Right.
And then Maggie's is in front of this ATV.
Yes, that's right.
And State's Exhibit 48.
That's looking from a different angle. Maggie, the doghouse in the background, the workshop overhang, and the ATVs to the right.
And then State's Exhibit 52.
So this is getting a layout of the overhang
That
is
was
that red
after,
tin roof we looked at
Maggie's body
before.
was removed from the area.
The red tin roof we looked at before lunch.
This is State's 50 submitted under seal.
So I think the sheet is pink colored. They didn't indicate
Different
otherwise.
angle of Maggie's body, I believe still covered by the pink sheet.
Mandy, question. Can you please talk over this so I can stay awake? I will be interjecting. There will be things we need to know. Things we learned this morning that I found very helpful is that a lot of the biological matter was on the outside of the door to the feed room, indicating that whoever shot Paul Murdaugh, it was the person who was the shooter, then Paul, then the feed room behind him. So that was helpful for the positioning of the direction of the blasts. It also explains why there is bullet strikes behind him, and it also, the defense tried to insinuate the shooter was inside the feed room. We've seen that that's a very small room, and that kind of
She
destroys
was
that
lying
theory.
face down, her both arms bent at the elbow, her right arm was bent toward her face, her left arm was
saw
bent
that.
underneath her body. Her legs were straight out behind her.
I don't know. It's probably what the officers had in
This
their
time I'll
car.
publish
Nobody asked them.
State Defendant's Exhibit
So I don't
2,
know.
which is under seal. Is that how her body appeared to be on the scene?
Yes, that is.
Now, when the body was moved, did you notice anything?
We located another cartridge case on the ground, approximately where her right knee had been.
So there was a casing
So she
under
was
her.
laying on top of a shell case,
That's right.
all right? And did you collect that item?
Yes, we marked it as marker 7, photographed it, and collected it.
And we saw those markers before lunch. We went through them. You know what? We're going to leave the audio on. I'm going to show you the markers they're talking about real quick. Let me grab
When
it.
that was?
It was a 300 blackout.
So I'm going to grab that item list because we're not seeing it in evidence. I don't know if we need to see everybody's faces the entire time. Let me grab that real quick and I'll show you those photos from evidence from the defense motion that was filed a while ago.
Mr. Worley, I'm going to ask you to
Long motion, Emily.
take a look at this baggie, and if you can, remove item 7.
So item 7 is the cartridge casing they were just talking about. Motion I'm looking for. There it is. All right, they're pulling casing out of the evidence bag so they can mark each individual one, put them into evidence. Those are the individual casings they just pulled out. Number 7 was the one particularly asked for. So I thought I had left this up. Did I close it by accident? I might have. All right. We're going to continue listening as I show you this layout sheet. That's not helpful. Why didn't it pull up this motion? Give me a second. I thought I had it pulled up. Sure don't. All right, I'm getting this motion pulled up real quick. Hopefully you can still hear audio. Now let's add this back. They're just sitting in the courtroom showing this to the defense. We're going to switch back and forth for a minute so that we can pull up these images at the bottom of this motion. So
No objection, Your Honor.
I'm moving real quick. Hope you tell me y'all can still hear court, because I hope so. I don't want to cut the audio while we're doing this. This is the evidence we're walking
Agent
through.
Worley, State's Exhibit 68.
This is item 7 right here.
Item
This is
7.
Maggie Murdaugh.
The 300
Thanks, Jack.
blackout recovered under the knee
This is
of
Maggie. This is Maggie Murdaugh.
How do
This
you
is number
know,
7.
That is that.
This is 6 and
This is
5.
my handwriting on the envelope.
So
date,
they are
time,
admitting
and
these
initials when I
casings?
collected it. My initials and the date on the seal tape.
This is the overhang.
And I'm going to
This is
show
the
you,
doghouse towards the
this
back.
This moves State's Exhibit, not
And then
eight.
these
Excuse
are the
me,
casings that we're talking
68
about. These are the
into
items of evidence we're talking about. And then
Submitted
this
without objection.
was where Paul Murdaugh was. This is the evidence they were talking about.
You,
So we're on
State's Exhibit
this side of
61.
the scene
Do you
right now.
recognize that picture?
Yes,
And is that a, what is that a picture of?
it is item 7, cartridge case, located at marker 7 before we
So we
collected.
just took a look at what marker 7 was.
Is that a true and accurate depiction of that casing at the crime scene?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move State's Exhibit 61 into evidence.
Is that what you just showed me? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. No objection.
It's admitted.
All right. What
This
is,
is the shell case.
it's like a
in here,
building with
shell
a,
case.
with an
Yes, it
overhang
is.
that goes out, but the building isn't under it. The walls aren't under it. It's
This is
just
a
a,
picture of it. It's
overhang.
located at the crime scene, correct?
That's right.
he's trying to talk to Jim. Jim! Jim,
Now, did you
Pork's got a
collect
question.
some other shell cases while you were out there?
Yes, we did.
She might have been running towards, we don't know, but also her footprints went around the back. There were footprints around
And if we're
here,
looking
so
at
she
some
could have
of
been
these
coming
pictures-
around this way or around that way towards the noise.
You see the little
The
yellow
defense intimated she was
placards
running away,
there.
but we would need to know,
I don't know if we can see them that
More.
well on the screen here.
we would need to know more about her positioning.
What
We would
do
need to know
each of
more.
those
So,
placards indicate?
yeah, we would
Those
need
are
to know
the
more.
evidence markers that the sheriff's office placed on cartridge cases that were on scene.
Yes, more like a
Markers 3,
carport.
4, and 5 were all the same 300 blackout cartridge cases.
So, how many blackout cases did we recover from the scene?
We should be you. Just saying. I say we all the
I believe it
time.
was 5.
What are we streaming today? I say it all the time, but in trial, it's appropriate to say, how many did you? How many did law enforcement recover? But that's aligning the prosecution with law enforcement very closely. We'll see how that plays. Skylar said, I really want to know if that was him opening a gun safe on the 911 call. That would imply the guns weren't laying around all over like Dick said. So how did the killer get into the house, open the safe, and then go to the kennels? Also love you. Thank you,
And
Skylar.
did you collect
I had that question too.
the cases that were?
I don't know if there's a gun safe in the
at the
house.
scene?
I
Yes,
hope
I
we'll
did.
hear from the people that go in the house whether there is or not.
Items.
Because it sounded like he was hitting a keypad, either a door or a safe. It did. It absolutely sounded that way.
2 through 7, yes.
So, you didn't have to set it again. I get to them.
There.
Sometimes
So
it's
do you
late.
have
Thank you, Skylar.
items? 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 there.
JR, both victims were outside. There was a bit of an overhang where Paul was, but both victims were outside. That's why they covered Maggie, and the officer that testified yesterday talked about covering her with a tent, like an easy up tent, because the rain was coming
4,
in.
5,
And
6.
for Paul, they
what are
hoped that he would be
items 2,
protected
3, 4,
by
5, and 6?
the overhang off the
They're
building
all
where he was.
Cartridge cases, head stamped SNB 300, AAC, BLK, collected from markers 2, 3, 4, 5,
K2,
and 6.
ouch. I'm sorry,
And in this
broken
case,
ribs are
does the item number
painful.
correspond with the case
Yes.
where the marker was?
It does.
These,
Can you take a look
Eric,
at these pictures?
Eric, when I was explaining what happened this morning to my husband at lunch, he was like, so, and I'm like, no, you don't understand.
It's going to
The
be
new prosecutor
case
that
exhibit
talked today,
60,
I mean, not new, but the one we
62,
hadn't heard from yet, that's exactly what I did. I'm like, he's the lawyer for my
58,
cousin Vinny.
57.
I'm like,
56, 55.
it was just,
and 54.
I couldn't,
and also 53.
Clayton is doing whatever, but the prosecutor that spoke this morning was straight out of central casting for my cousin Vinny. It was wild. It was wild. Oh, Crystal, I know Carline well. University chemistry, homework in my dorm. What's up, McKenna? Hopefully the homework goes well. Rihanna, I'm an insurance adjuster. I'm at work. I'm writing reports, and you're my soundtrack. Happy to be your soundtrack. We need a DEF CON code for pickle. We need DEF CON pickle. I'll see what we can do. Green lights are a little hard with some of the hue lights. We've got, like, this is about as greenish as we get. But I think we could do it. I think we could work out a DEF CON pickle. I think we could. I think we could do a Sir Dickle the Pickle. The courtroom does look fuller. Why are they taking the evidence out of the bag?
And can you tell us
They're taking
in
it.
general what we see
They're
in
grouped into
those
bigger
pictures?
bags, so they are
These
taking
photos show
each
of
individual
those
bag out of the
markers,
group, the bigger
2,
bags.
3, 4, 5, and 6, and before we collected the evidence,
So,
and also marker 13.
And are those true and accurate depictions of where
Oh.
300 blackout shell cases were on
so
the
they
scene?
get
Yes.
very well familiar.
Your Honor,
I'll
at
talk
this
about that
time, I would
later.
offer state's exhibits 62,
And again-
60, 59, 58,
This is the
57,
sloggy part of a trial.
56, 55.
It's so important.
54, and 53.
All
into
of these
evidence.
items have to come in. Every single one of these items have to come into evidence. They can't be talked about later till they come in. You can't get into the forensics until they come in.
Yes, Your Honor.
But laying a foundation for everything takes time. And if you mess it up,
Admitted without objection.
you can very seriously damage your case. So all of this is just we have to go through it. Question: if he is convicted, will the verdict from this case come into play in the other trials? Not necessarily. A lot of this happened after a lot of them, so those might come into this, but this might not go into those. It would come up in sentencing, but we'll have to see what happens. Is the accused son supposed to testify? There's no son accused of anything. The son that was the defendant in the boat crash case is deceased. Paul Murdaugh, he was the one who was killed. The son, Buster Murdaugh, who's on the defense's witness list, has not been excluded. A lot of people haven't been excluded. There's a couple reasons for that. One, he is a relative of the victims and might not be excluded for that reason. Two,
Did you
Nobody
collect them
objected.
Put them in these little
And 3, there
envelopes.
doesn't seem
Yes,
to
I
be
did.
a sequestration order for the witnesses. It's not that the witnesses have to be out. And so that can be allowed. It just depends on the court. It's a general rule, but it varies court to court, as all things do. So, I think Sherry means the accused's son, the defendant's son, that's fair, but he's also the relatives of the victims. And as such, he has rights as the relative of the victims.
Agent Worley, I'm
Do we
gonna
know
get
who
you
was
to
killed
take a look
first?
at these
No. I have
cases
thoughts,
one
but
more
no.
time.
That's not been admitted
This
into
being
evidence.
now marked as
Theories
case
have not been
exhibit
admitted into evidence.
63. You could tell the jury what that
Oh yeah,
is.
jurors are probably bored at
This
this
is a
point.
cartridge
But
case.
the jurors are
300
seeing the
blackout
pictures.
From marker 2.
But it's just like, okay. It has to happen. The foundation has to happen. This is
How
a
do you
perfect
know
thing to
this
do
is
after
the
lunch.
300 blackout cartridge case.
Just
we
slog
collected
through
from
it
Docket.
and get to
That's my
important stuff
handwriting
tomorrow.
on the envelope, date, time, and initials when I collected it, and my initials on the seal.
If it's me setting up the
What
day,
about for states?
I would
64?
hope that this witness would carry the day, or we would have
The
one more
300 blackout
collection
cartridge
witness.
case that I
I
collected
don't
from
want
marker
any more
3. It's my handwriting
important
on the
testimony
envelope.
coming in. This is stuff that
Date, time, and initials when I collected it.
this is
and
stuff
my
that's
initials on the
important.
seal.
It's foundational, but it doesn't. The jury's minds are not turned on how this evidence is collected, right?
Cartridge case collected
So.
from marker 4.
So the
300
jury's going to be
blackout,
like,
has my handwriting with the
Okay.
date, time, and initials.
so
when I
don't try
collected
to
it, and
don't
the
try to
initials- my
slide in
initials on
anything
the
important at
seal.
the end of the day because they're already done.
66.
So.
It's the 300 blackout.
After
cartridge case
today,
from
court's
marker
closed till
5.
Monday.
It's my handwriting, my.
We do have I Have
date,
Thoughts
time, and
merch, Aurelia.
initials,
It's
and,
for the patrons,
My initials on the seal.
because that is the private members only podcast that
And then
lives
state
over at
67.
lawnerdsunite.com. So there is.
The 300
It is over
blackout
there.
cartridge case from marker 6 is my handwriting on the envelope with the date, time, and initials when I collected it. My initials on the seal.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move states 63 through 67 into evidence.
Is the spatter expert allowed to testify? Undetermined. It's undetermined if the state will seek to call that person as a witness. Dickie Boo, what are you doing? Dick,
They're admitted.
Clayton,
And Agent Worley, what did you
Gentlemen.
do in these cases once they were collected on the scene?
I
so
sealed them in those coin
it
envelopes.
hasn't been decided if
that are
the
in there with them.
prosecution's gonna call them?
I transported them to the.
And if they do,
the
there's
lab
gonna have to be
at,
motions.
Sled.
so. Yeah.
And when you got them
There
to
will
the
have to be
lab at
motions.
SLED, what did you do?
I transferred most
Christy,
of the evidence from the scene to
3
one of the
weeks?
crime scene lieutenants, Lieutenant Todd Shank.
3 weeks.
And does he take those items and put them in some sort of secure location, or what happens to them?
So
He would have logged them into our database and transferred them wherever they were going in the lab for analysis.
Right, I'm going to turn your attention now to what's previously been admitted. It states Exhibit 49, which I believe was admitted
Kelsey,
under
good luck with your
seal.
homework. I'm a beep dill.
Now, if we take a look at this picture, you can see
ESQ.
those yellow
Partner at Dill
placards.
Pork and Beans Attorneys at Law. Barney Cat. That is magically delicious and I love it. I'm a B Dill.
Placard 2, I believe.
Esquire. That's solid. What are
Which shows.
What are y'all doing?
Correspond with item
Dick?
2.
You can't just
which is
wander
in
around the
State
courtroom, my
63.
guy.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
And
what is
states
happening?
Exhibit 53 here.
That's hilarious. Thank you.
What are we looking at here?
That's that cartridge case at marker 2 before we collected it.
I do not know that, Joe Jersey.
And states Exhibit 54.
I imagine if he did, the state would have brought it up
It's
as
a
motive.
close-up of the same cartridge case at marker 2.
Because they said the financial crimes are motive, but if financial's motive and he's in all this debt and he kills them and gets life insurance, you better believe they're going to bring it up. So I'm guessing that we don't have that, but we'll see at the end of trial. I'll be able to answer that with more more
All right.
substantiation.
Then we'll move to
Emily, just want to thank you for all you do and raising
Exhibit
awareness on
55.
neurodivergence so well. You're welcome. My husband just got diagnosed with ADHD after years of struggle. Thank you. Struggling without answers is the fucking
markers 3 and
worst.
4, the cartridge cases. at
It makes
those
us feel like
markers
we're to
before I
blame,
collected them.
and I hate that.
okay.
So yay.
And
Here's to knowing.
Well, the-
Cheers.
jury can see those cases there. Agent Worley, Your Honor, may I have permission for Agent Worley to step down and point those 2 cases out to the jurors on this TV here?
Yes.
The tech in this courtroom is definitely not the tech in Virginia, that's for sure. The high-tech courtroom in Virginia was very helpful to all of us because you could see people drawing on things or writing on
Here's
things.
the
Now
one
it's just
three.
pointing it out.
And then the one marker 4.
Sometimes you'll have a second exhibit and have the witness mark it with a pen and then sign
Worley
it.
will put up State's Exhibit 58. And in that picture, if you could point out any items of interest for us.
These are the cartridge cases at markers 5 and 6.
And
Not sure if I can see the one at 5.
Question, do you think there's
One
a
of our
reason
spaces
why
right
there's more
here.
people on one side of the courtroom than the other?
and
AM
State's
side looks to have
Exhibit
more.
59 is a
So as
close-up
others have
there
said, this is
of,
not a church. We are not here for a wedding. There's
This
no
is the
bride side and
cartridge
groom
case,
side.
at marker 5.
This side of the courtroom, they can probably see the jury better. They can probably see the exhibits and the witnesses better. The other side of the courtroom does have a
Take
court
your seat,
TV
please.
camera
Thank you.
tripod up in the middle of it. So I imagine like this side of the courtroom over here, where you see less, might be reserved for press because they have blue.
66.
People here have yellow, so this might be reserved for press on that side, as opposed to being for general admission. But also, there's a camera on that side that might block
Yes.
view. So I think it's probably just practical. I don't think
Then
it's
let's
people
go
saying
back here
we're sitting
to,
behind Dick because we support him.
State's Exhibit 58.
Sorry, Dick.
Also in that picture.
Defendant's
it
name
looks
is
like we
also
might have some,
Richard Alec Murdaugh, but that's what I meant.
brain matter and some hair in that picture.
Yes.
So they were talking about where brain matter and hair was found.
State's Exhibit 56.
It's the cartridge case at marker 3 before I collected it.
And then State's Exhibit 64 is the actual shell case that was collected.
That's right.
So we're at marker 3. Switching to
State's
what was filed in the
Exhibit
defense exhibit, marker
57.
3 is here at the corner. So we're talking about,
That's the cartridge case at marker 4.
they're
before I
talking about
collected it.
suspected biological material at
And
marker
State's
12
Exhibit
right here,
65,
which it contained biological matter,
Yes.
which would
that's the
indicate to
actual
me
case that was collected.
that
It
the
is.
shots were traveling in this direction because it carries with it. The inertia carries
And
with
then
it,
finally here, we have State's Exhibit 60.
which would be interesting because hold on, if that's
cartridge case at
true,
marker 6 before I collected
did
it.
someone
And what
shoot
is
Paul
also-
and go around this way?
It's
Because
possible
go
brain
around
matter.
this way and keep shooting because the cartridges
And
indicate that
State's
somebody was
Exhibit
going
67.
this way. So,
Yes,
I have
that's the
questions.
same cartridge case.
because these are all
That's the cartridge
cartridges,
case
so wouldn't
that
they
was
shoot in an arc
Right.
going that way or eject as somebody's advancing this way, not somebody shot here and advanced around this way? But we also do know that after Maggie Murdaugh fell, she was shot one last time in the back of the head. So this
Now,
might come
also,
from this exhibit 12 might come from that last and final
Is there some kind of-
execution style shot.
Defect or something in the gravel that y'all inspected?
Yes, at marker 13 that the sheriff's office had placed, there was a
It will make
disturbance in the
more sense.
the gravel area that we dug into.
It will make more
that
sense when we
area.
have the
We presumed it was a bullet strike where a bullet had hit, so we dug into that area.
we will have more
Did you find
information
anything when you
when
were
we hear from the coroner.
Yes, we found several metal fragments.
They did test Alec for gunshot residue. He did have gunshot residue on him in numerous places, but he also had gone to the house and picked up a gun. So, and the defense is going to say he was afraid that there was somebody on his property, and the prosecution is going to say he went and picked up the gun because he knew he would have gunshot residue on him, and he's doing it to manufacture an alibi. And it's going to really come down to who does the jury believe? Did he manufacture an alibi?
What did you
Could
just
he have done
remove
this to his
from,
wife and child?
This baggie
So
from the
that's why
crime
this is coming up
These
so
are the
much.
metal fragments that I collected from in the ground at marker 13.
lab. And how do you know those are the metal fragments you collected?
They look familiar. It's my handwriting on the envelope, date, time, and initials when I collected it, and my initials on the seal.
Thank you.
Where do you see those documents you're showing? I have them from the court records. I will go see if there's a public link. I will not make my link public, but I will see if there is a public link to those records. I do not know if they are. Those are from defense exhibits that I grabbed. I can always do that later. The Murdaugh family murders subreddit has great pictures of the property oriented. So the photos, they are great and active subreddit. I also found that subreddit to be very respectful in talking about this case. So if they have photos over there, I would go take a look. Can we talk about the coziness of EDB sweater? Yes, it's a wrap. It's big. It's basically a blanket with armholes and a hood, and I love it. I tend to travel in this quite often. It's one of my favorite things. So, big fan of your channel. Thank you. I'd love a colorful pointer, maybe purple, and a size up for indicating on your screen. I don't know how to do that, Robin. If I knew how to do that, I would. It's hard. I just wiggle the mouse around. We just wiggle the mouse and hope that it points. I don't know. If I point from here, you won't see it. I'll be like, see, right there. And you're all like, girl, no. I'll see if I can figure that out. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Emily said, I moved my nanny kids nap time back an hour so I could be part of the live and not the replay crew like I normally am. Very thankful. More than happy to push it back too. I'm sure they were. I'm sure it was thrilling. I've nannied as well. Em said, this is the first trial I've ever watched in full. Thank you, Emily, for the coverage from another Emily in
Worley.
Australia. You are welcome.
To show you state's
There are
exhibit
boring bits in
62.
trial that have to be done. I always tried to
recognize
bury the
that
boring bits after
picture?
lunch because the jury's not paying as close of attention
is that a
anyway.
fair and accurate
And it was like,
depiction
look, we just have to
of
get the evidence in. Once
bullet
it's
fragments
admitted,
at
we'll
the
get back
crime
to the
scene?
interesting
yes.
stuff.
Your Honor, at this time I would move state's exhibit 62 into evidence.
I will have to look. I use Mac.
And also for ID purposes only, state's exhibit 102, the bullet fragments.
I don't know how to change the mouse icon, but I'll look and see if I can.
It's admitted for ID only.
Why is it admitted for ID only? Was there an objection? Oh, the jury's probably falling asleep. The jury is definitely bored. Here's the thing. It doesn't really matter if the jury's bored, and this might sound terrible. They plan these witnesses so that it can be after lunch where the jury doesn't pay attention. They can kind of zone out a little bit. All that matters is these exhibits get marked. The importance of the exhibits will get talked about later. We can see Chanley Painter in red in the
Those are
courtroom.
the metal fragments that we
And she
collected
had
from the ground.
It
at
looks like
Marker
she
13.
also has blue. So I do think this is media seating over on this
So,
side, and then
what else
gallery
did
seating
you
over
see
here.
around,
I might explain it.
Maggie's body while you were investigating the scene.
So yeah, the jury's falling asleep, but they don't care.
There was a.
We have to do
in
all the
doghouse
exhibits.
side
All
that
the
was facing her,
exhibits.
There was a, appeared to be a
Exhibits.
bullet defect in the side of the doghouse.
Okay. Was there an
Exhibity.
ATV parked under the,
Oh,
under that
I'm not
shed?
surprised. After lunch, the jury's
Yes,
yawning
there were
too.
two.
did you notice anything about
I'll check.
ATV?
I will absolutely
There's
check.
appeared to be suspected biological material on the front of the ATV, sort of low down on the front of it.
Chat your bag.
And where was that
Hold on.
ATV in relation to Maggie's body?
I believe it was off near her left side.
So they're saying there's an ATV in this area,
Exhibit 49.
and there was biological material on the ATV over in this area.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. And on the front of that on the ATV, there appeared to be.
The ATV
tissues,
made
you said?
the
Yes.
defendant upset. These are close range with a AR style rifle.
The doghouse. I'm going to show you what's been marked as state's exhibits 75, 74, and 73.
Yep, so we're getting to trajectory. What's an ATV? All-terrain vehicle. Oh yeah, the map I pulled from the defense motion.
How do you recognize those
Oh,
pictures?
I didn't nickname Dick
These show
Poot. We were told by a
front of
member of the chat
doghouse
whose
and then the
father
projectile
went to
that we
school with
collected from,
Poot,
dog
that
was
his
inside
nickname
the
in
doghouse.
college was Poot.
Are those true and accurate depictions?
Yes. they
I
are.
mentioned it yesterday, but then it was accurate. It was
Your Honor,
confirmed.
This time I would move state's exhibit 75, 74, and 73.
I mean, I would make improper jokes about a wandering dick, but he wanders. He's just like up, down, and all around. But he is looking at the exhibits, and that's allowed. So, did I say shotgun? We have one rifle, one shotgun involved in these homicides. So, I think the ATV and the UTV are being used synonymously because they've talked about both.
State's exhibit 72
What's Dick's last name? Harpootlian.
If you could tell the
Spelled
jury where
P-O-O-T.
that doghouse you were talking about is that in that picture?
It is. It's more in the background of that picture.
And again, these pictures are kind of hard to see here.
Yeah, pun intended.
It would be in this area right here. That I'm
He's just like
Yes,
he's
that's
just
it.
like he's all over he's all over this place.
Exhibit 73.
Normally, you would walk up to the defense and show them the exhibits, and he's just getting up and doing all the things.
That's,
that?
He
that's
might be
the,
trying to stay
front
awake.
of the doghouse.
So, all
Okay,
right,
then,
I'm
State's
gonna take a
Exhibits
look at
74.
That was the projectile that was in the bedding of that dog bed that we recovered.
So when they're talking about the dog bed, I think what they are talking about again is this one. Oh yeah, Emily, it says projectile
Exhibit
doghouse.
75.
There it is. So
And
they're
that is
talking
the
about this right
projectile
here.
that we collected from the dog bed.
Doghouse projectile.
And I believe that.
They're just connecting that all together.
Maybe in this bag you have here. Is that item 12?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And how do you know item 12 is that projectile?
It's my handwriting on the envelope, date, time, and
Every
initials when I collected
single
it,
item.
and my initials on the seal.
Every single
Do you know
item
anything
has to be
else
gone through
about
like
that
this.
projectile besides that it's the one that you collected from the doghouse?
No.
Country Road, can a defendant get so emotional they recess? Yes. It's not uncommon in my experience. It can absolutely happen. And emotional in upset, emotional in emotional upset, emotional outburst. There can be lots of reasons. Emotional if they're testifying. So. And Sheila, I don't know.
The
I don't know.
item number 12, State's Exhibit 76, into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
Admitted.
And Agent Worley, this would be.
I want to hear the coroner's report, entry exit wounds.
State's
Yes.
Exhibit 76.
And I'm sure that will be morning testimony
Yes, that's
when
it.
the jury
Round
is
collected from the
bright
dog.
and awake.
That's
That
right.
is necessary. Pay attention to evidence. Like you wouldn't want to do the important cell phone evidence
All
after
right,
lunch if
now,
you could avoid it. You'd want to start it before lunch.
After you had went
So.
out to the crime scene, did you make a diagram?
Amra, that's why the officer said they found it odd.
kind of, you know, piece together the evidence where you could see everything and how it kind of relates to each other.
I did. On scene, I do a rough sketch showing where evidence was located, where the victims were located. I take measurements to show where things are in relation to each other.
Brianna B., I don't expect him to take the stand. He has the absolute right not to. As the case goes on,
Made that diagram, is it to any kind of scale?
as the case goes on, I'll let you
No.
know what I think. He said no objections.
Your Honor, this time the state removes State's Exhibit 77.
I think
into
that's what
evidence.
we've looked at. It looked like that is the
No objection.
same drawing
Admitted.
that we have been looking at from the defense motion because they would have had this in there.
The diagram that you created after being out there on the crime scene.
That's the final diagram I created with a computer, yes.
I believe this is the diagram they're talking
Your Honor,
about in
may
court.
Agent Worley step down to kind of go through the diagram with the jurors?
I'm very curious to see how this goes. We might listen to it and go through the diagram ourselves. So we'll see.
Agent Worley, if you could just kind of walk the jurors through the crime scene using this diagram here.
All right.
We have Maggie's body here,
All right.
Paul just outside of the feed room.
Maggie here, Paul here.
You have to
Markers,
speak up a little bit.
marker 1 and markers 9 and 10 inside the feed room.
Here.
And then we had markers 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm so glad I pulled this from that motion.
7 underneath her right knee.
Not to say sometimes I stream well, but sometimes I stream well.
8 tire impressions in the dirt underneath this overhang.
I don't see 8. Oh, there's
Marker
8.
12
Overhang.
was suspected biological material.
Here.
And then marker 13 where we dug the metal fragments out of the gravel.
Gravel.
Okay, thank you, Agent Worley.
Was that helpful? I think that was helpful. Look, y'all. Sometimes.
What do you
Alright.
know about those?
They went straight through where the overhang was, went from one end to the other.
Did you do any kind of analysis on those tire impressions?
We photographed them with examination quality photographs on scene. I never had any, test impressions of any tires to compare
Us
them
doing
to,
things
to
well?
do
Yeah,
actual,
absolutely.
Comparison.
I'm taking that in a cheeky way.
In a
No, yes,
report,
this
no.
is new. This is new
Why was
information.
that? Why
Oh,
didn't you do any
and the bumper's new
analysis
too.
on the tire impressions?
The bumper's new too.
We concluded basically the gentleman
that
who
was
took
the
care of
mod's idea.
dogs, I forget his name.
And
He
my
parked
producer,
there
Melinda, made
regularly, and his tires were consistent with the design of the impressions that were there in the dirt.
This is the caregiver for the dogs.
Okay, so you essentially, they figured out who the tire impressions were.
Right.
And it wasn't necessary for you to do any analysis there.
Yes.
The
Are you
mods were
aware of
like, "We
any
need
other,
the more you
tire
know."
impressions on the scene that you analyzed?
No.
As far as tire impressions in wet grass go, how would you analyze those?
All I would be able to do with that would be photograph it. That's not going to leave any kind of design characteristics from the tread of the tire.
Because it's
in
an
the grass.
impression in wet grass.
So I can't really do an analysis, a tire
there's no
analysis
tread.
of tire impressions like that.
I don't know, Trev.
All right, while you were on the scene, did you receive any items of evidence from Colvin County Sheriff's Office, Barnadoe?
Yes, I did.
And what was that item?
I took custody of a GSR kit and gunshot residue kit that was collected from Alex Murdaugh.
I'm going to try to change my cursor size. If I froze the video, I'm sorry. I'll be back. I'm going to have to come back. Alternate pointer actions? No.
We would move to the next text exhibit 13, the GSR kit that Agent Worley collected from Colvin County Sheriff's Office, Barnadoe.
Okay.
Get it?
Okay. Also, in the course of your investigation, did you gather some items of evidence from SLED agent Katie McAllister?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and when did you collect those items from her?
On June 9th.
And what were those items?
Can I refer to my notes?
Oh, crime scenes. Y'all, this is the stuff they don't show in CSI. It's the stuff we don't talk about it. We don't talk about a lot. It's the parts of trials that on TV, when they cover trials, they just skip right over all of it. It's just...
I took custody of 3 shotguns, a rifle, fired and unfired ammunition, and empty boxes of ammunition.
And what did you do with those items when you took custody of them?
I transported them to the lab at SLED and submitted them to the lab.
And all this would, of course, be recorded on a chain of custody sheet.
That's right, yes.
All right, moving on.
I know when I switch to try to fix my pointer, it freezes. So I apologize. Yep, all of this is Bruno. It's just...
Really, before we move on,
It's just...
these
Who did the
shotguns
guns
you
belong
collected,
to?
would those have been items
It's believed that they are
30,
family guns.
31,
Because all of the
32,
ammunition matched the family
33.
ammunition, and the family had those types of guns. So
Yes.
Okay, and And then you collected item 34, which was a 30-round magazine containing 300 blackout cartridges.
Actually, 33 was the night vision scope on the rifle.
Okay,
There's a
And
night.
34 was the rifle.
okay. All right, and then what other items did you collect? With the numbers, please.
Okay. Items 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39, 5 cartridge cases,
Hey,
head
where are you
stamped
go-
S&B 300 AAC BLK that were collected from the ground at side entrance door.
Random question. Could you wear nail polish as a prosecutor? Yes. And some have very sassy
From
nails.
Hayden House?
My nails tended to be a bit
Yes.
sassy.
Okay, and what was
Yes.
item 40?
That was an unfired cartridge, head stamped S&B 300 AAC BLK.
So these are
collected
the
from a
300
Remington
blackouts.
20 gauge shotgun shell box from shelving near gun storage rack.
And then item 45?
45 was an empty 20-round box of
I hope they'll
S&B
talk about-
300 AAC BLK.
I hope they'll talk about
Full metal jacket ammunition collected from
whether
the
there
gun
was a gun
storage
safe
room.
or not. Because they were talking about the
And
gun
then,
room.
items 46, 47, and 48.
Those were 3 empty ammunition boxes collected from the trash.
Yes, there was a night scope. Yep.
And then, I'm sorry, what did you say that you did once you received those items from Agent McAllister?
There's-
I transported those to the lab at SLED and submitted them to the lab.
Insinuation from the
Did you,
defense that the weapons were
test
stolen.
fire or do anything with any
I don't
of
think they're going to be
that
able to say the weapons weren't
evidence that
family
you
weapons.
collected?
No, I didn't do any of that.
They insinuated it during opening that the weapons could have been stolen. They could have been
Move on
anywhere.
To the Chevy Suburban that was on scene the night of the murders.
Creighton was doing it too. They were both just walking
Did
around.
you observe that vehicle when you got to the scene?
We don't know about the
I
gun
did.
room yet. So. So. All right, let's see. 300 blackout is a type of ammunition. Were the guns ever found? The murder weapons were not recovered. Nope. But there's a receipt for weapons of the type that are the murder weapon, and the murder weapons were the only ones missing. They had lots of guns. And the murder weapon were not found. Those were just the only 2 that were missing. The other guns were fine. Other guns of the same size and caliber and same model were fine. Or were found. They had over 20, 25 guns, I think is what Alec Murdaugh said. So, you know, there were other weapons on the property. If somebody's coming in to steal all the weapons, there's a lot of them. The court is taking a stand break. I invite you all to stand. I got all caught in my headphones when I did this earlier. Having served on a jury, I would find the movement by the attorneys very distracting from the testimony. Same. The wandering is wild. Agreed. The court said stand. He didn't say talk. Why does standing mean you get to talk? The court said stand, not chat. He's like, at ease. I love the court clerk is also just standing. I don't know if her jacket's purple. It looks kind of purple, and I'm living for it. I bet you the 2 of them are in chambers after this being like, can you believe the audacity today? The audacity that has happened in this courtroom. I believe this is probably his court clerk research assistant that gave him the books earlier to be like, here's the rules. Here's the rules. Which I love. I would love to be a fly on the wall. Footage of Alec Murdaugh's interview in the car is on Twitter. Okay. Is this the last witness for today? Not necessarily, but I imagine cross-examination is going to take some time. Goodness, Emily, what jobs haven't you had? I've done a lot of jobs. I started working at 15. So I've done a lot of jobs. But I liked to work. Again, I don't like to be bored. ADHD. Let's see. If the defendant this stand break, hold on. If y'all are standing, stand up. Take a stand break. Let's see. If the defendant refuses to take the stand, could it be a potential concern for the jury? No. I.e., if he is innocent, why isn't he willing to be questioned by prosecutors? Are there jury instructions about it? Emily Outdoors, this is a great question. Yes, there are jury instructions about the fact that the defendant does not have to testify, but also no presumptions can be drawn from it. So there are instructions on that. The prosecutors cannot bring it up. The prosecutor could never say, we didn't hear from the defendant himself, ever. And the defense is in a really good position on this because the defendant did speak to law enforcement multiple times. He already told them everything. Nothing's going to get better in trial. So they can argue, see, he's already told them everything, so there's no more that needs to be said. I think the court feed cut the audio because now the court audio is silent. So no inference may be drawn because of the constitutional rights. I'm going to hit 1 million by the end of this. I don't know about that, Natalie D. New hair, we can talk about new color. We've done Galaxy with some blue and some pink. I'm amenable to chatting new hair colors. Do we think the coroner or pathologist will speak on Monday? It depends. It depends on their ordering, but in the order they're going, it should be soon. But we've got to do this first. Thank you for taking a look. Watching from Canada, you're welcome.
Projector. Blurry.
Your Honor.
They're asking
With
the
the overhead light on the Elmo now, I think we'll be able to see better. Without that light on, that was a shadow, it was difficult to see.
All right. Thank you.
that's the jury talking to the court about being able to see or not see the Elmo.
May it please the court, Your Honor?
Grizel, if you're going to eat chicken nuggets every day, make them at home. I
Agent Worley, if you
do
don't
make
mind
them at
taking a
home,
look
but
at
I make the
State's
Trader
Exhibits
Joe's ones.
104, 96, 97, 99, and 93.
They shouldn't be talking to him, especially if the jury's in the room. They should not be talking to him. They've definitely chatted with him a bit in an off-putting, for me, kind of way. They've had more engagement with him than I've seen any in-custody defendant have with people. So that's been kind of wild.
Or,
Can't see him needing night vision as he knows his own property very well.
Exhibits
They hunt at
93,
night.
99,
They have deer
97,
blinds.
and 96.
So
True
they
and
might
accurate
have
depictions
a scope
of the
for that?
Chevy Suburban.
Yes, they are.
And State's 104, is that a true and accurate depiction of some ammunition that you located?
In the Chevy?
Other vehicle, yes.
That was
Oh.
located in a white F-250?
That's right.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move State's Exhibits 104, 96,
wait.
97, 99, and
What ammo was
93
found in the F-250?
into evidence.
Wait, what kind of ammo was found in the F-250? Wait, I have questions. Excuse me. Excuse me.
We would also, State Exhibit 95.
What
for
kind of
ID
question?
purposes.
What kind of ammo?
Agent Worley, if you could open that up and tell us what kind of shell casing, a shotgun or shot shell is that item 50?
Can I get scissors?
What happened to our scissors?
I need to know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I scared your animals with the air horn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They searched the 250 though. So, you have to raise your hands to ask questions. You're right. You're right. You're right. I should have ordered this. Do you think this would... I have questions. I have questions. Can we just tie it up? I hope that's what they're doing now. I have questions. So we're going to find out what kind of casings this is, but also we know that there was ammo everywhere. That's what they said. There's ammo everywhere. So let's see what kind of ammo is in the car. I'm sorry to all of you who I scared the shit out of with the air horn. Apologies. We might have to do the screaming goat. Is that pickle yodeling? Yes. We haven't named the yodeling pickle yet. But Sir Richard Pickle ESQ kind of won my heart. We have some others that have been very funny. So we have not named Dickle the Pickle yet. Richard Pickle, Dick Pickle, we have not. Shotgun.
So what is State's mark for ID is State's Exhibit 95,
It's
Wait, I thought it was 50.
16 gauge shot shell, unfired.
a 16 gauge shot shell.
That's right.
Okay. Now, I think when it was collected, it was marked as a 12 gauge shot shell.
That's right.
So what happened there?
I just made a mistake. I wrote 12 gauge instead of 16 gauge. It's clearly a 16 gauge.
Okay, and that is the shot shell that was collected from the floorboard of the Chevy, the back floorboard of the Chevy Suburban?
That's right.
Okay, and like you said, it is a 16 gauge instead of a 12 gauge,
That's right.
and it was just marked.
So they're
correct.
clarifying
Yes.
an error before the defense is like,
This time,
ha!
this tape removes tapes Exhibit 95 into evidence.
So there's just like shotgun shells rolling around the Suburban? Okay.
No objection.
As
Submitted
well,
without objection.
thank you, Your Honor.
Was that Suburban
This
owned
tape
by anyone that
also
worked on the
moves
movie
tapes
Rust?
Exhibits,
I have questions.
83 into evidence.
So they're moving it into evidence?
It's admitted.
Agent Worley, if you could take a look at State's Exhibit 83.
I'm taking notes on that. So just, all right. The chart's like, well, yeah, shell boxes are flimsy. It would not fit in a 12 gauge shotgun. Well, he put a 16 gauge in a 12 gauge shotgun and it fit because they ejected it out of the 12 gauge shotgun. So it did happen.
If you could tell the jurors what's in State's Exhibit 93.
That's looking at the scene, the back of the Chevy Suburban there toward the right side.
And what side of the screen did you say the Suburban's on?
The right side.
And the Suburban was on the scene when you arrived, is that right?
Yes.
Now, when did you actually process that vehicle?
The vehicle was towed from the scene the morning of the 8th, and then we returned on the 9th to process the vehicle.
So on the scene that night, was that vehicle even searched to your knowledge?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
I believe they were 12
And
gauge.
so,
The murder of Paul was committed with a 12
when
gauge,
you
not a
went to
16
search
gauge.
it, what did you do?
We document it with photographs outside, inside.
So this is the search of the
Search
Chevy
for
Suburban?
Any evidentiary value items. If we locate them, we photograph them and collect them.
And what did you locate in the rear floorboard of that vehicle?
The 16 gauge shot shell was on the rear driver's side floorboard of the Suburban.
And that would be State's
Do
Exhibit
they expect? Do they
97
suspect that
Yes,
he
that's right.
took the Suburban to his
and
mom's,
96.
and like it could have been in his
Yes.
pocket and falling out?
Did you also process the vehicle to see if there was any blood in there?
We did.
Okay, and how did you do that?
We first looked at the vehicle with an alternate light source, see if we can see any indications of any blood in the vehicle. We followed that with a couple of different chemical procedures.
So did you swab some areas in that vehicle?
We did.
Okay. And what areas was that?
I can refer to my notes again.
So I saw the question, for Paul's injuries, do you need to be close range? What we know from opening statement is both victims had stippling from the hot gases that come out of the gun. So these were known to be close range based on the evidence of the body, but not just because of the catastrophic nature of the injuries.
There were 10 areas total. There's the lock, unlock buttons on the driver's door.
Yes, the 16 gauge
the
fit
driver's
in the
door
12 gauge,
armrest,
but they said
the
it
driver's
wouldn't
side
fire.
running board below the driver's door, the driver's floorboard,
Yodeling
front
pickle.
edge of the driver's seat,
That's funny too. I like
steering wheel,
yodeling.
center of the driver's seat back, the front passenger door above the armrest,
Taking it under
front
advisement.
passenger seat bottom, and front passenger seat back.
And State's Exhibit 83 is the actual swabs that you took from that vehicle.
Yes, those are.
And were those swabs presumptive for blood?
Yes, they were.
Were those swabs presumptive for blood?
She needs
Yes,
to
they
explain
were.
to the jury what presumptive means.
And State's Exhibit 99.
Nope. Nope.
Is
Nope.
where?
Nope.
That's the
Tell them what it
steering wheel
means.
of the Suburban.
Tell them what presumptive for blood means.
Later on,
Where did they come
First-
from?
what did you do with those swabs that you collected?
I packaged them in separate envelopes, sealed the envelopes, labeled it with the description of what was inside the envelope.
Presumptive
Date,
means
time,
yes.
and initials when I collected it, and I sealed it. And then
Presumptive
before
means
we
blood
transferred
means
them
the
to
thing they
lab
swabbed
at
is
SLED.
most likely blood.
And would you have submitted those to the lab for further analysis for blood?
Yes, that's right.
Later on, did you have another occasion to go back and process the Suburban?
I did, yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I returned at a later date to retrieve the seat belt from the driver's side of the vehicle
So they think that's just what he was
And
driving.
why did you want to retrieve the seatbelt?
for additional trace DNA testing.
Okay. And when you retrieved that seatbelt, what did you do with it?
It was removed from the vehicle, included the strap, the buckle, the receiver, and then there were some hardware components that we couldn't separate from the seatbelt itself. I packaged it, I believe, in a paper bag to transport it back to the lab at SLED. It would have been packaged additionally inside of a box at the lab and submitted for testing.
So you removed the whole entire seatbelt?
Yes.
So this is them now processing the Chevy Suburban that they believe was the vehicle that Alec was driving that night, back and forth to his mom's and what have you. Oh, is that the actual seatbelt? Sweet. We love show and tell. Yes, it's called evidence, but I'm calling it show and tell. And I like the chart the prosecutor has. Did you see the chart he had? It had each item. It looked like each item of evidence with a picture and a description so he could flip through each of them. It looks like she is showing Dick the evidence. I don't know what he's saying because he's like, but we'll see. Experts can refresh their recollections with notes if they ask. Yes, they just can't read off them like they're not. Yes, this evidence very much is giving Jodie Foster.
Well, heavier than you would
I get
think
it.
for a seatbelt here. Can you tell us?
Heavier than you would think. That's
That
funny.
is the seatbelt you collected.
You want me to open it?
The reason they have her opening it is because it
Yes.
still maintains the chain of custody. So they are now opening the evidence for the jury. Once it gets tested, it gets sealed back up. So they are maintaining the integrity of the exhibits. Cassie asked, did I miss the Snapchat story? No, we have not seen that yet. And I don't know if we will today. We got a lot of exhibits. A lot. Yes, they are unboxing. We are now unboxing. Through crime tape and other tape. What? She's got her fingers on the blade of the scissors. What? No. What? What are we? What? All right. I suggested Dilly Gaff yesterday too. I like Dilly Gaff. I like Dilly Gaff the pickle, because sometimes Dilly Gaff needs to come out. There are comments on occasion. It's never y'all. It's never y'all. It's it's somebody who's wandered through like a wandering Dick Harpootlian, who says something offhinged, and I need to just be like, hey. So there's a couple ways to do the Snapchat story, because they had the physical phone and they can extract it from the physical phone, or they can subpoena it directly from Snapchat, or both. So it just depends if they... We're turning that down. That's a very loud crackling bag. So, but we love a show and tell. I don't think they have a box cutter. They gave her the worst scissors in the world. And the prosecutor should have thought it through. If you know you're going to have to ask her to open boxes, bring scissors to court. So they are unboxing a seatbelt. Objection, that box opener is not oil slick gloriousness. No, it's not nearly as cool as my unboxing knife. Leslie Ann said a YouTuber that's in the courtroom said over lunch that AM's sister also rocks and moves around in her seat just like he does. Interesting. He moves a lot. If premeditated both guns could have been in the red building, they could have been. They could have been sat there.
All the way?
They're still trying to open this box. I don't know why they're shifting away from her unboxing the unboxing. I mean, it's wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. I will try, but it pauses the image when I switch away to things. Wait. Don't kill the audio. If Alex did it, do you think he used his legal knowledge to strategize how to manipulate evidence, create stories, and get away with it? Possibly. That's what the prosecution's going to ask. The prosecution has said manufactured alibi. So I think that they will argue some of that, if it even comes in that he was a lawyer. 1 million hair, a section of rainbow in the purple. We could do rainbow hair. Rainbow hair would be fun. Is it true Google and Snapchat are witnesses? I didn't look at the witness list. But it wouldn't be Google and Snapchat. It would be the document representative who maintains the subpoenas. I'm sure they were both subpoenaed. So it would be... No, don't cut the audio. The court's just taking a stand break. For fuck's sake, don't cut the audio. The witness is still on the stand. All right. This is... All right, let me turn this audio back off. All right, is my audio still on? Let us go to some of the photos that Court TV has up on their website of the exhibitees. So, the flat bottom shoes that were Maggie Murdaugh's that left the footprint impressions. We looked at these earlier. The photo of Alec Murdaugh in his shorts and white t-shirt that the witness said looked clean, and possibly like freshly laundered because he was sweating and it was hot and it was humid and the shirt did not seem to have sweat on it. This is another image of a still from a body cam video. This is the 12 gauge that was loaded with a 16 gauge that they showed in court. So this is the camo style gun that we talked about. Shoes, water. This was probably one of the photos that they were talking about water with blood in it. Did it look like there was blood in the water and then everybody blew up and lost their minds about it yesterday? Well, Dick did. This is the dog kennels, and water coming out of the dog kennels. So they were saying that this water did not look like rain. It's hard when it's up close without having like an establishing shot and then a zoomed in shot. Let's see what else. And then this, where are we? I don't know where we are for this image because, I don't know where we are for this image, which shed this is. And let's see. There we go. Is this, hold on. Is this one the kennels or is this one this one? I can't tell if this one's that one. On the other, it doesn't look like it. So maybe it is. But it doesn't look like this is long enough. Anyway, let's see. Are we back? Nope. All right, let's keep going through these. So this is the overhang with the tin roof. This, I believe, is the kennels. I hear like the faintest of faint audio, but I don't see anything from court, so we're going to keep going through it. These are some of the footprints or types of footprints we were talking about, and they were talking about yesterday. So these are some more of the apparent flat footprints on the softer sand gravel that they were talking about yesterday. We went over a little bit earlier. And then this is in between some of the buildings. I think that this is this building or in the area of this building. And then this area with the red tin roof is where Maggie Murdaugh was. Though this could be under that area with the red tin roof. It could be underneath that. So there we go. That's some of it. So there's lots of random stuff in there. Yes. Water still wet from Paul and Maggie. Used it 2 hours later. Looks fresh. It does look fresh. So it does. We still have no court feed, and that's all right. So someone put baggies over shoes. I don't know if someone put baggies over shoes. They said they didn't. Let's see. They said they didn't. So none of these look like baggies over shoes to me, but these are like a flat flip flop and then more of a boot type shoe walking through. There's a lot of footprints. There's a lot of footprints in and out of this area. So it was hard to get a sense of where this was yesterday and whether or not this is under that red building, whether or not that's under this red building overhang. It was just hard to get a sense of it. And sometimes when you get too close to a case, prosecutors can forget. We need to like, okay, here's the overall picture and then narrow it down. Like here's the overview and here's where we go from there. But the overhang is this building. So the building with the tin roof, and this says not to scale, but the building with the tin roof is this building. And the doghouse is on the back of it. And we saw that in other photos. The doghouse is on kind of the back side of that. And then we've got the storage room to the side. So hopefully that is helpful. All right, let's continue on. Let's see. I know, I always hear tin roof rusted. In your intro, why did you beep out the word fuckery? Because YouTube changed their rules, and I do try to stay somewhat monetized. Ah! No, ma'am. No, ma'am. What we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is that. All right, let's. So YouTube changed their rules. That's why. They still aren't done unwrapping. I have no idea if they just decided to take the lunch break. I don't know. The court didn't say. And they've been cutting the audio so fast. And Deputy heard we had a minute when the court was doing something so we could actually hear what was happening in court. Here they've been cutting the audio, like instantaneously cutting the audio. The court's like, let's stand up, and then the audio goes. So we don't hear if the court said, let's take a break or not, which is the only frustrating thing in this. So they're trying to get that seatbelt out. I still think Yodelin Pickle ESQ is hilarious. Move to have a poll created naming the yodeling pickle. We're going to wait till the end of trial. At the end of trial, we will name the pickle. We'll just see what happens. We don't know. We'll see what happens from here. Vincent Van Goat came along so naturally. We will just see what happens with the yodeling pickle. DJ's wife, Emily, how hard would it be for you as an attorney not to object when you feel as though it should be? AM seems to stay in his own lane. He does. Would I be terrible at it? Yes. But I get to yell it from here, and I would be terrible at it observing in court. But also, he's on trial for murder. So he has to process all the other things coming at him. And I think he probably is. I don't know how many trials he's ever done. So he might not be as much of a litigator because a lot of PI work just settles with insurance. So he might be very prolific at making phone calls and wrangling witnesses. I mean, I know he's done trials, so I don't know. He's got a lot going on. Rob, it's good to see you. This is the worst ASMR ever. Can we add ASMR training to all evidence collection specialists? Obviously, because it suits our purposes better, and that's what we're here for. Jeopardy music is playing in my head, waiting on her to unbox. Yes. Aaron, it's okay. I apologize if this has been asked and answered. I love your use of asked and answered, but what's the story surrounding the Snapchat video? This comes up in their opening statements. I talk about it in Quick Bits, I believe. Yes, today's Quick Bits. So today's Quick Bits, this is a perfect segue to today's Quick Bits episode. I have a second channel. Did you know I had a second channel? I have a second channel. It's slightly shorter. I think I set that on a timer to go live today at like noon. So let's see. Quick Bits. I'm literally just rolling it in. So this is Emily D. Baker Quick Bits is my second channel. Oh, it didn't go live. All right, I'll go find it. But there's a new video that should have gone up. Maybe I did it wrong. But it should be right here. No, it's still here. I don't know why it doesn't show its thumbnail. I'll go find it. Anyway, over here on Quick Bits, we've got the week 1 where I talk about the Snapchat video. I'll figure out why it doesn't have a thumbnail on it later. We're professionals here. So I talk a little bit about it, but in the opening statements of the prosecution, they talk about the timeline of this case and the fact that Alec Murdaugh's timeline can't fit because he is in Paul's Snapchat video. So you could hear him in it. I don't know if he's in video, but they talk about being able to hear him talking to Maggie up at the kennels when he said he wasn't there. So there is a conflict with regard to where Alec Murdaugh is, and I explain it in more depth, but not too much, over on Quick Bits. So don't forget to go over there if you want to check that out. Anyone else wearing their I Have Questions t-shirt for trial today? I should have. I think I wore mine yesterday. Dickel is on the list for the pickle. Dog grooming and an air horn. Thanks. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I will try to keep it down. I will try to keep the air horn down. You can fire a 16 gauge from a 12 gauge gun. There's a video on YouTube of a guy doing it. It depends on the gun. Not advised, but possible. Auto loading won't work. So, they're using the 12 gauge, 16 gauge confusion to show that he was so wrought with upset that he couldn't properly load his weapon, that he grabbed the wrong gauge. So that's what they're using it. That's what the defense is using it to say. So let's see what else. All I hear with the pickle is Larry the Cucumber from VeggieTales in the song The Yodeling Veterinarian of the Alps. I don't know that song because I don't know VeggieTales as well as I know like a Phineas and Ferb. And they do the bathing suit in the Himalayas. Cliff Balloon. I will not sing Cliff Balloon. Lee D said, I have a really hard time not being biased against the defense. Stormiest? Any suggestions on how you overcome that to be more objective? I really try to look at both sides of a thing. It's like, this could be this could be that. Like the wiggling in court could be because he's anxious, because he's grieving and didn't do this, could be because he's anxious because he did do it. I just try to look at both sides, but I also have a lot of experience as an attorney to do that. I really, for me, try to focus more on what the attorneys are doing and what their theories are. Where is the theory? What are they trying to say? This, and which direction are those theories going? But again, there is a presumption of innocence here. But are humans biased? Yes. Have you been given an oath as a juror to check that at the door? No. I only ask that you try to keep an open mind and go, okay, well, they're saying this, but my questions are this, and seeing if those questions get answered and just asking questions. So changing cursor, I have seen, thank you all. I will try to change the cursor. Oh, now that we don't have the video on, I could try to do it while I'm talking, which is going to be hard. We had plea deal has been suggested. Thank you for the jacket. I like it. It is very comfy. It's like almost like a poncho style wrap, which I enjoy. All right, let's see if I can get the system settings up while that video is not playing and go from there. All right. Appearance. Nope. Let's go to accessibility and go to display. Maybe it's, y'all told me where it was. And I am going to look. Pointer size. Let's make it large. Pointer outline color. Let's leave it white. Pointer color. Make it purple. The court is coming back in. I can hear them. Ooh, let's make it magenta. Magenta.
Bring the jury.
Bring the jury. So they did take a break. I love that the judge says bring the jury. All right. We have now gotten a much larger pointer. Let's see how we all like it. The judge is bringing the jury. How do we like it? Is it big enough? I'm sorry, Your Honor. We like your lamp. Let me try one more time. Let me make it a little bigger. I think this is as big as we can get. We like it big and something. Moto. Sorry. All right. I've switched into being an absolute child as I'm playing with what size the pointer should be. Hold on. Display. Oh, y'all, law nerds, we learn something new every day. All right. We've got the pointer as big as it can get, and we've made it purple. That's where we're at. Big purple pointer. Big purple point. This is as big as it can get on my thing. So there we go. Big purple pointer. Let's switch back to our 3 camera layout.
The jury is present.
Thank you. You may
The
proceed.
audio is better on the other channel,
Okay, Chloe, we
but
left off with that seatbelt.
we like
Were you able to open it up so we can show the
all of this. Sorry, it is as big as I can get it. Yes. It is bigger. I can see it bigger. It looks bigger to me. Hopefully it looks bigger to y'all. And purple. All right. Such a size queen. That's as big. I know. It needs to be bigger. It's not the size of the pointer. It's how you use it. That's true too. Just wiggle it. If we wiggle it, does it get bigger? It gets excited. It gets a little bigger because it's a Mac. So. Oh my God. There we go.
So, if you could tell us, what we have there.
Seatbelt.
The entire seat belt, the strap, the
We love exhibities.
receiver, the buckle.
Kind of stretch it out.
Ma'am, can you just stand up and do this with it? Could you just...
Where it was mounted on the
They
side
took
of
that
the
whole
vehicle.
shit apart. All of the shit. They took all of the shit apart.
Okay, so that was all removed and submitted to the lab for testing, is that right?
Yes.
Rob, it's a Mac. If you wiggle the mouse on a Mac, it gets bigger.
100.
It's so you can find it. What were you thinking, Rob? No gloves needed now. It's already tested. It's already in evidence. So I'm not surprised that she's not wearing gloves. It's all been tested.
Your Honor, I thought we agreed to mark these for ID until the person that did any analysis on it testifies. Did I?
Marked for identification at this time.
Ah, well now we know more. That's why they weren't admitted. They are marked for ID until the person who tested them testified, and then they will be admitted into evidence.
Attention to the screen there.
Well, that explains that
Seat
from
belt
earlier.
down.
That's what they agreed. They agreed when we didn't get to see them agree, but that's why they agreed. So, I'm gonna just make a note. Marked until analysis.
Y'all also, in addition to doing a search on the Chevy Suburban, you did a search on the white 250 truck, is that right?
That's right, yes.
I want to know more about that.
And State's Exhibit 104. Were those 300 blackouts found in the truck?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember where you collected those from?
I believe the center console.
And State's Exhibit 103.
So is that a box?
300 blackouts that we're seeing on the screen there that were collected.
It's an ammo
Yes.
box
And how
of
do you know those are
300
the blackouts you
blackouts.
collected?
It's my handwriting on the box with the date and time and initials when I collected it.
Oh, Rob, it's horrible. It's like a stool.
My initials on the seal.
It's
tape
so
on the
bad.
box.
It's so bad.
Your Honor, the state would move State's Exhibit 103 into evidence.
So the center console of the Ford F-250 had 300 blackout
I'm sorry, which,
ammo box.
It's the 300 blackouts that were found in the white F-250 that are...
They have sound issues every time they switch. Pick a mic.
that's the white 250 Paul's truck left on the side of the road?
Yes.
Okay. No objection.
They're admitted.
At least he cleared it up for the jury if they weren't paying
Did y'all
attention.
also process another vehicle, Maggie Murdaugh's Mercedes.
Yes, we did.
Were any items of evidentiary value collected from that vehicle?
The only items we collected were 2 sets of swabs from the interior and 2 sets of swabs from the exterior door releases of the driver's door.
Did you attend the autopsies of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh?
I did.
Autopsies are
And
rough.
Did you collect any items during the autopsy?
I did.
And what were those?
I can refer to my notes.
She had already indicated that she collected Maggie's shoes. I'm not surprised if she would collect other things from the autopsies, clothing, hairs, stuff that's going to be tested, things like that. So, autopsies are a whole thing.
They were items that were collected during the autopsy that were transferred to me via chain of custody forms.
Okay.
From Maggie, I got clothes, fingernail clippings, projectile fragments.
Okay.
And from Paul, I also got his clothes, fingernail clippings, shotgun pellets, and wadding fragment from left shoulder and head, plastic wadding from left axilla or armpit.
And when you collected those items, what did you do with them?
I transported them to the lab at SLED and submitted them to the lab for analysis.
Can she refer to notes since she isn't an expert? She is an expert and she's been qualified as an expert. But yes, she can. These reports have been turned over and these reports are evidence. These reports are not hearsay. These reports are chain of custody, so they're used for a different
112,
purpose
111,
and a different kind of
110, and
notes.
107.
It sounds like there was blood in the truck. We're going to have to wait and hear more about it.
Are those items you collected from the autopsy?
So it's different.
Yes, items I took custody of at autopsy.
And what items are those?
The shotgun pellets and wadding fragment from left shoulder and head. The plastic wadding from left axilla.
Would it help you to open that bag up?
Go ahead and open it up. The chain of custody has already been established. Blackout rounds in the truck that was broken down too. Yes, this family had multiple guns that shot that ammunition, so I'm not surprised
And
that
the projectile
there are
fragments
boxes of
from
ammo
Maggie.
in their family
So
vehicles.
we'll take those items out one by one.
Oh, and
Okay,
she's
so
still got
what is that
cross-examination to go.
This is item 66.
Why even open the bag? Because she needs to look at
And
each
what is
individual
that
item.
actually?
That is the projectile fragments that were collected from Maggie
So.
at autopsy.
That's
Okay,
why.
how do you know that?
That's how it's labeled.
Okay. We'll mark item 66.
The truck was on the side of the highway.
112. Okay, what else do we have?
She is a very, very serious scientist. So. Yep, it's absolutely different. They would have tested the blood in the truck. We'll just have to see. What truck did the seatbelt come from? It came from Paul, or not Paul. It came from Alec Murdaugh's
The item 69.
Chevy Suburban.
Plastic wadding from left axilla collected from Paul's autopsy.
Okay.
So they're breaking these down piece by piece.
That item as case exhibit 111. Okay.
And then I also have the item 67, 68, shotgun pellets and wadding fragment from left shoulder and head collected from Paul's autopsy.
Case exhibit 110 for the shotgun pellets from Paul's autopsy.
So they're going through each
Is there
item in
anything
the
else
evidence
in
bags.
that bag?
There are two in this.
Pardon me?
It's labeled with 67 and 68, the pellets and the wadding fragment.
Okay, so the pellets and the wadding fragment are both case exhibit 110 from Paul.
Can Dick object? No.
Correct.
This just has to
And
be
what else
done.
did you
It's just,
collect here? We got items
it's the foundation.
70 and 71.
The closed captioning, bless her heart, closed captioning is not doing it. It's just not. What do you expect they'll get into during cross-examination? The way that evidence was collected, the way that the investigation was done, the same stuff they've gotten through other things.
70 is the left-hand fingernail clippings from Maggie.
So that's what I
71
suspect they'll
is
get
the
into.
right-hand fingernail clippings from Maggie.
That's exactly where you belong.
Okay.
I'm gonna go try to figure out why I don't have a thumbnail in my other
Those are
video in a
marked
minute.
as
Y'all, this is gonna just
Takes
gonna
exhibit
take a while.
251.
The paper rustling is so loud, and I've gained this down a little bit.
Then what is that?
As
item?
in armpit.
This is a
Yes.
metal fragment that was collected.
So-
It was caught on the dress that I collected from Maggie's autopsy.
Caught on the
I
dress.
collected this metal fragment at the lab at SLED.
So you removed that metal fragment from the dress after the autopsy yourself.
Right.
We mark that as takes exhibit 109.
So they had thought that there was a bullet strike to the gravel, and they collected metal fragments off the gravel. So this indicates, and this attorney keeps having her back to the jury, but this indicates that
Item 72
those fragments
is
also
left-hand
hit
fingernail clippings
Maggie.
from
So she
Paul's
was close
autopsy.
enough to those metal fragments
And
that she had metal
73 is
fragments
the
on her
right-hand
dress.
fingernail clippings from Paul's autopsy.
So I'm not surprised that there were metal fragments on her dress, because there were metal fragments in the gravel. So a shot went into the gravel and fragmented, and she had some on her clothing, and they were able to take that.
Mark as takes exhibit 252. Then takes exhibit 113. What does that appear to be?
Bethan, that's so cool that you're a live captioner. Thank you. Live captioning is so important. I use it, closed captioning, on almost everything. Ever. This does seem computer generated to me. Also. So that's very cool. What a cool job. Question, if he gets acquitted, does he get reimbursed for all the things damaged? No. Sure doesn't. That vehicle would be completely damaged. Is she blocking the jury's view? She's
This
now
was a
standing with her
shotgun
back more to the
pellet that
door.
I found among Paul's clothing
So
once
no.
I got the evidence back to the lab.
Thank you. And finally, we
Finally? What do we... Finally?
takes
What do,
exhibit 36.
finally? What does finally mean? Does finally mean we're almost done? It's a lot of evidence. Does finally mean we're almost done? Tell me that's what finally
Paul's
means.
shoes, you want me to open?
You can open
Paul's shoes. I imagine the shoes still have biological material on them. This is going to be a box and a bag and a box and a bag. There are going to need to be, the prosecutor's putting on gloves or a glove. The witness will probably need a glove as well, if there's biological matter on the shoes. So we'll see. But we will just have to see. Ah, and she has gloves, like right inside the zipper of her. That's so cool. There's gloves inside the zipper of her little, binder thing. That's awesome. All right, we've got another paper bag. I turned the volume way down because I don't want to have to listen to the paper crinkling. So to save all of our ears, at least we knew it was coming. Once the shoes are out, we will see that. So these are Paul Murdaugh's shoes. And those are Paul Murdaugh's shoes.
Shoes that you did the inked impressions of, the footwear, to compare to those bloody prints in the feed room?
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Put them
Your Honor,
back
this
in the
time
bag.
state would admit, take
Put those back in the bag.
exhibits 36, 113, 252, 109, 251, 107, 110, 112, and 111 into evidence.
So they're looking to make sure that those are all being admitted. The defense is like, give us a moment, please. He didn't say I beg the court's indulgence for a moment, but that's okay. Let us continue on. So, not a soul in this chat is surprised their New Balance. That's fair. That's very fair. And they were walking around the kennel and doing all the things. We have Vincent Van Gogh. Why not Salvador Dilly?
Without the chain being completed, we would object to admitting them into evidence.
What chain's not completed, sir? Also,
Which of those exhibits did not have any type of analysis done?
this attorney said he was not going to do speaking objections anymore.
Sorry.
Y'all speaking. You're speaking.
Your Honor, I believe they were all analyzed in some way.
Okay, mark for identification.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, the shoes, no. Hey, prosecutor. She's the one who did the analysis on the shoes.
Also in this case, we just talked about Paul and Maggie's clothing. Did you analyze the defendant's clothing?
I did.
They're going to have to be
And I
very
think
mindful
we said,
to get all these
earlier
back
that
in.
his clothing was collected from Agent David Owen,
Yes.
and you received that clothing into your custody and submitted it into the SLED lab.
That's right. I took custody of the clothing before we left the scene.
So what kind of testing were you involved in regards to the defendant's clothing?
We processed the T-shirt
Not all of
and
it.
the
It
shorts
was marked.
with
It was
LCD.
not-
It's a presumptive test for blood.
It was not all admitted.
Now, what is LCD?
Leucocrystal violet is a presumptive test. Looks for the hemoglobin component of blood.
So what happens when you put it on something?
She didn't need to prove
If
more. She
it's
just
reacting
needed.
to the presence of blood, it's a presumptive positive test, and it'll turn purple.
Can LCD react to other things besides blood?
It can.
Like what?
Bleach, rust, I think are the main ones.
Okay. All right, so when you process the defendant's clothing with the LCV, what did you find?
There were several areas of staining that we had a presumptive positive result, several on the front and a few on the back of the T-shirt.
I'll
And
talk
what
about
about the
evidence being
shorts?
marked
The shorts,
versus
there were a
admitted
few
later
on the front and back.
when we have a minute.
So when you got that presumptive test with the LCV, what did you do with the shirt then?
We documented the entire process with photographs, starting from taking it out of the package to before we did anything at all with it. We took photographs of the front, the back, inside and outside. Once we sprayed it with the LCV and saw all the stains that we saw on it, we rephotographed it again with a scale, without a scale first, then with a scale for each stain. Then we laid the shirt flat and labeled each of the stains with a letter and photographed it again with that letter and a scale in the photograph for each of the stains.
And you did that for the shirt and for the pants?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as your analysis goes, after the shirt was processed and shorts were processed with the LCV, did you do any further analysis?
No, I did not.
Okay. And now after something has been sprayed with LCV, what happens to that object?
Over time, any area of the object that came in contact with the LCV will oxidize and the entire thing will be purple.
Okay. So like right now, if you sprayed this paper with LCV and it didn't turn like purplish blue, would it eventually turn purplish blue even though there's no blood on this paper?
Yes.
All right.
So eventually it oxidizes.
Let's move ahead to the search of Moselle.
Yes.
Was that property eventually searched by yourself and other agents?
The
It was.
cross on this is going to be
And when
very
did that
long.
occur?
September 13th, 2021.
Oh,
And that was several months after the murders took place in June.
That's right.
they searched in September?
And what parts of the area or the residence were searched?
We searched the entire residence. The main focus was the
What?
gun room on the first floor.
Okay, so could you kind of, I guess, describe the property and the areas that were searched?
There's the main residence, and then also there
September?
was a cabin closer to the kennels that faced Moselle Road, and then also the workshop.
The
that was
cabin near
located
the kennels.
Near the kennels.
Okay. And is the residence a fairly large residence?
It is.
And you searched the entire residence?
Yes.
And you mentioned the focus was on a gun room.
Yes.
Where
3
was
months
that
later.
located in the residence?
It's on the first floor.
Gun room on the first floor, not a gun safe, a gun room. Jamie Walker in the chat said, such a rush to judgment. Such a rush to judgment. They didn't search it for 3 months.
Did you find any items of interest in the gun room when you searched it?
We did collect several items from the gun room.
Did it have a code? Excuse me. Did it have a code to get into the gun room? Was it a locked door? Was it just a regular door? I have questions.
Was the workshop area of the residence searched? Out near the kennels?
Yes, near the kennels, yes.
I want to know if there's a keypad. This cross is going to be long.
Agent Worley, I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 124, 123, 122, 121, 120, 119, 118, 117, and 116. Could you tell me if those are pictures taken
That's
during y'all's
reading.
search that day?
But it's foundational. Dick doesn't seem to care. And did you see Alec telling him, like, stop talking to me? Like, stop talking
Yes.
talking to me?
Are those true and accurate depictions
I have
of
so many
the search
questions.
of the residence in Moselle and the workshop area?
Yes, they are.
The truck could absolutely
Now,
have a
at this
keypad.
time, I would offer State's Exhibits 124, 123, 122, 121, 120, 119, 118, 117, and 116.
So the photos are being offered as evidence?
Into evidence.
As defense. They're admitted.
My dad has a gun room. It has a gun safe,
116,
equipment to make his own
picture
bullets, and
of
it
the
has a
gun room
pad
here.
locked shut.
Yes, it is.
Interesting. So not a... Well, a padlock could
State's
still have a...
Exhibit 117,
Yes.
it appears to have a pool table and a little workout bike in there.
That's right.
And do you recall whether this door in the picture exits to the outside of the house?
Yes, it does.
States 118, is that the gun rack?
Yes, they
In
have
that
to list
room?
out each
Yes, it
number
is.
because
Now,
you
when
have
y'all
to...
did the search
You're admitting it to evidence. Each
in
item needs to be
September,
stated into the
were any
record.
of those guns collected that day?
No.
So these are additional guns to the guns that had already been collected by SLED agents.
That's right.
I can feel the sarcasm.
Was there a lot of
Master
ammunition in that room?
2552.
There was.
Okay, about
He keeps saying, rush to judgment. They didn't search for
Takes
3 months. It's
119.
ridiculous. Why not search it that night? Why not search it the next
is that a
day?
box of ammunition,
Yes, it is.
mixed ammunition.
Right.
In fact, was there, this whole bookcase we're looking at over here, was that just full of ammunition,
Yes.
an ammunition bookcase?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 120.
And again, the prosecution is getting into the amount of ammo at the house because it's the type of ammo that was used
That
in the
was
murders.
also on that bookshelf.
Not a judgment that like, oh, there's lots of
Exhibit
ammo. It's that
121.
this was
Yes.
family ammo. This is
That
what
is,
they used.
300 blackout
It might also be the most
ammunition
popular
on
kind
this
for that
box.
gun. We
That's
haven't
right.
heard that
In the
yet.
bookcase.
Yes.
Good company, I agree. Even if they didn't think he was a suspect, they should have searched for other clues. Agreed?
Was some of this ammunition collected?
But
It
the
was.
defense says the
You said
defense
you
in their
also
opening said he was the
searched
only
work shed
suspect.
Or hangar out near the
He was the
kennels?
one. They rushed to point the finger at him. If they were rushing
Okay,
to
so
point the
is it
finger and they had a search
122?
warrant, they would have searched his house that night.
Is that ammunition that was found in the workshop?
Yes, it was in that red bin on the workbench.
Brr.
Okay. And we see ammunition in a little, like a wire tub.
Celeste, are
and then
judges
in a
understanding
tray.
when it's the attorney's first trial? Not necessarily. It depends on the attorney.
Specifically in Exhibit 123.
Did Paul live there? It was the hunting
What
cabin. It
types
was
of
not their main
ammunition
house,
was
and Paul was in
Some
college.
of the ammunition that was
So
located.
it's my understanding he lived at
It
college.
was one unfired cartridge.
This is
head
their
stamped
second
Barnes
house.
300 BLK. It's the one on the left.
So this was not a
And then the
full-time
4
residence. It was
unfired
a
shot
hunting
shells,
residence.
head stamped 12 gauge federal.
And item 124.
And those were the boxes of 300 blackout ammunition photograph.
And you said y'all collected some of those for evidence purposes?
Not at this one. No.
But some of the ammunition that y'all found was collected for evidence purposes, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm almost out of fizzy. I have to run and go get some fizzy water.
Indulgence, Your Honor.
Beg the court's indulgence. Great. I thought Miss Maggie had dark hairs in her hand. She did, but they only talked about the evidence they collected from the autopsy and took. That might have been collected as part of the autopsy by the autopsy examiner, by the coroner. So it could have been collected by someone else. They're not talking about everything. They're just talking about what they took. They took the clothes. The hairs would have been part of the autopsy.
And again, while we're in the indulgence,
Question, was there blood on his clothes? That's what they're saying, that there was blood on his clothing based on these presumptive tests. Will the hired hitman be a witness? Curtis Eddie Smith, who is been charged with the suicide for hire plot, is on this witness list. Was the ammo bookcase organized by Dewey Decibel or Library of Congress classification? The fact that they didn't ask this is deeply disappointing to me. I want to know the organizational system. I'm very curious as well. And I don't know. I think maybe Dewey Decibel is the appropriate system for ammo. I just think it all fits. Or maybe the numbers would get too confusing if they use the Dewey Decibel that way, but I have questions. I have questions for sure. So imagine jurors sitting in chairs like that. I hope the chairs that the jurors have are better, but look, the counsel chairs also have these little low backs. They look the same as the witness chair. None of those chairs look comfortable. None of them look comfortable, but they begged the court's indulgence for a moment to organize. So I imagine the jurors are in the same. I need a mini fridge in here. Where's your sweater from? This is, my ears. I'm stuck on my chair. Free people. It is so good. It is great. It is big. It has pockets. It has pockets. All right. We've stood up. I haven't excoriated myself. It has a hood. I love it. Let's see. Probably more comfortable than a jail cell. Probably. It probably is. But Alec Murdaugh doesn't seem very uncomfortable. He seems to be handling things quite well in court. I mean, he seems antsy. He seems antsy in court, but
Worley,
you know.
you could take a look
So.
at these items.
Show jumping dreams. You know who looks comfy? The judge in his fancy chair. Accurate.
By you that day. This
So I'm
was
not the
some of
only one that organizes ammo. I do it by size and numerically.
Picking back.
You have to. The armorer on the set of Rush should have been organizing ammo. How could you not organize ammo? You need to know what you're grabbing. Everything in my house is kind of, well, my desk is currently a mess, but my Post-its are organized by size and then by rainbow order. I need things organized so I know where to find them. Same with makeup, organized by area of the face and then by type. I need things to be organized. I need them to be organized very well. Also, I know a number of you have mentioned, and I have as well, that when you see the older crime scene photos of Alec, he's lost quite a lot of weight. It is something that he talks about on his jail calls
Yes, these
with
were
his
all
son, that he is
collected,
working
the
out,
day we
what
did
his
that
diet
search.
is. It's something he's very proud of and has talked about on those jail calls with Buster. We also have to remember that Alec's attorney said that
From
he had a
the
substantial
desk in the
opioid
living room
addiction.
was the
So
cabin
he
that
also
faces the road.
is, recovering and has been in jail during that period. So all the fidgety stuff doesn't really
One
doesn't
cartridge
really deal with
from
it,
the
so.
Winchester box on the bookshelf in the gunroom.
Home Edit
Head
hasn't
stamp
covered how to
Barnes
store
300
ammo in an
BLK.
attractive way. They haven't, but they should. Can you come
One
help me get
cartridge
organized?
collected
I
from
just put on
desk in the
videos
living
and
room
try to do it.
Of the cabin.
Pick a small space first. Go with a small space.
One cartridge head stamped S&B AAC 300
So.
BLK from the desk in the living room. of
Also,
the
no
cabin.
alcohol in jail. Generally not, unless it's home brewed. And I don't
One
know.
cartridge collected from the desk in the living room.
Doesn't seem
head
ideal.
stamped Barnes 300 BLK.
So, was the house closed off and secured all the time? No, it wasn't. The house was not secured.
One
Sure wasn't.
cartridge from the desk in the living room, head stamped Hornady 300 BLK.
So they're getting into all
In the cabin.
different types of ammo.
One cartridge collected from the Winchester box on bookshelf.
Home
in
brewed equals
gunroom.
toilet wine? Yes.
Head stamped S&B 300 AAC BLK.
Organizing ammo sounds like a cop show. Could you imagine if
One
police
cartridge
officers
from
came
Winchester
and
box
organized
on
your
bookshelf
house?
in gunroom. Head stamped
It sounds like a home
S&B
improvement show.
AAC 300 BLK.
Homebrewed jail alcohol is
One
made by
cartridge head
fermenting
stamped
things in a
S&B
toilet.
AAC 300 BLK from the
Pruno is
bookcase
real.
in the gunroom. One cartridge from the Winchester box on bookshelf in gunroom. Head stamped S&B AAC 300 BLK.
Everything has to be individually marked for evidentiary purposes. So it is.
One cartridge from the Winchester box on the bookshelf in the gunroom. Head stamped S&B
need a retro mini
AAC
fridge.
300 BLK.
But I need it to not make noise in my office because it's where I record. Because that would make
One
me
cartridge from the
batshit
Winchester
crazy if
box
it was
on
just.
bookshelf in gunroom.
I can't deal
Head
with
stamped
noises.
S&B AAC 300 BLK.
Emily, what are your
One
thoughts on the
cartridge from the Winchester
investigation?
box.
Do you think it
on
was handled
bookshelf in the
properly?
gunroom. Head
I have a lot of
stamped
questions.
S&B AAC 300
I'm not to
BLK.
passing judgment yet, but I have a lot of questions. Why didn't anybody
And
search the
one
house for
cartridge
3 months?
case,
Somebody's
head
going to need to
stamped S&B
explain some
AAC
shit.
300 BLK from the
But I
bookcase
think it's
in
because
the
they didn't
gunroom.
think he was a suspect.
And all of those items,
How much time is spent testifying in cases for officers and people like we have seen so far? Are they paid when they have to testify? They're paid their normal rate or
147,
overtime if they're on
31,
overtime? Because they are,
61,
all the law enforcement officers work for either the state or the
which
county.
these states,
So they're paid their normal rate or
128,
overtime if they go overtime, but they don't get,
130,
most places don't get a special rate to testify.
132,
And
133,
it is a
139,
it is a substantial part of a law enforcement job
137, 136,
to testify.
135, 134, 140, 141,
They're admitting a
and
whole bunch of
142.
stuff. This witness
State
must be
removing
testified, tired.
evidence at this time.
I'm sure that they're used to it, and there's going to be a cross-examine after this. So you can't be tired yet. You don't have time to be tired.
Additional
You have to stay acute.
cases that were found.
Lack of SLED's follow-through on investigating the property explains some of the county sheriff distancing himself from the investigation yesterday. He was like, yeah, I don't know what they did. We turned it over to SLED. Because remember, the county sheriff and local police... Oh, Alex got snacks on council table. What are we... That looks like hard candy.
One
Literally never
unfired
seen a
shot
defendant
shell
allowed
from a state box
this
on
much
bookshelf
freedom in court.
gunroom, head stamped Winchester 12
Ever.
gauge.
Like, ever.
That will be states
Um,
49.
It's just... The way
One
he's treated
unfired
is
shot
quite
shell,
different
head stamped 12
than what
gauge
I've ever
federal
seen.
from Red
I think
Wing
Dick
on
fell
the
asleep.
workshop bench.
He's going to wake up and say objection in a minute. Oh, he's looking at his phone. From this angle, it looks like he's asleep.
One unfired
From
shot
that
shell,
angle, it's clear
head
he's
stamped 12 gauge
talking on his
federal
phone.
from
I'm going to
the
go
red
with he's
bin
asleep.
on the
I'm teasing.
workshop bench.
I can understand why they distanced themselves. But also, they turned it over to SLED because people had a conflict because they knew the Murdaughs. So why didn't SLED do more?
One unfired shot shell from nightstand in Paul's bedroom, head stamped Winchester 12
The
gauge.
attorney here in the red jacket is one of the attorney generals. And then this is a crime
One unfired shot shell
SLED
from Kent box on
CSI.
bookshelf in gunroom,
Thanks
head
for
stamped
explaining the court
Winchester
process. You're
12 gauge.
welcome.
That will be
Read and watch 12 Angry Men changed my perspective to be more objective and not rush to
One unfired
conclusions.
shot shell from
That's
the
fair.
state box on bookshelf in gunroom, head stamped Winchester 12 gauge.
I have not seen one thing in this case where I'm like, aha, that's the thing. Right now, we've got a lot of foundation
An
and a lot of
unfired shot shell,
questions.
head stamped 12 gauge federal from red bin on the workshop bench.
That would be states 144.
Do you think this preferential treatment of AM will influence the
Unfired
jury?
shot shell, head
Sussex
stamped
Sandra, I don't
12
know
gauge
if they'll
federal
notice.
From the red bin on the workshop
It depends on
bench.
their own life experience. They might.
That would be states 143.
They might notice. They might not. It just depends on them. And it depends on
Your Honor,
their.
the state removed these items,
It depends.
exhibits into evidence at this
So,
time.
You're admitted without objection.
What else do we
it
have
is
here?
definitely more lenient than I've seen most defendants treated, for sure. So, let's see. Which hoodie? This is a Free People hoodie. It's like a wrap style.
One cartridge case, head stamped
It's
S&B
basically a
300
blanket
BLK
with pockets and a hood.
from the Sable and Oak bag. in the
Prosecution
gunroom.
have ballsed up. They've definitely done something.
States 126.
Seeing, I've decluttered and reorganized my whole bedroom whilst listening to you. I definitely give you a lot of content. You have time.
One cartridge case, head
Have to restart.
stamped Hornady 300 BLK.
Mini fridge is super
collected
quiet.
from
Good to know,
black
Ann.
Ford F-150 under the driver's seat.
So a black Ford F-150 is different.
Would be states 127.
At least Rob isn't
State
talking about the
removed
pickle.
States
Fair.
126 and 127.
So now we're moving
Into evidence.
more things recovered from the phone. Can lawyers use their phone? Yes, and they often have to. Because they're
States
normally doing
exhibit
stuff.
126.
We need that in purple. They make it in black.
Blackout. And
don't.
127 is a Hornaday 300 blackout.
Miguelina, yes. Oh, wait.
States exhibit 127 is from.
Wait a second. See, the
black
mods just sent me a
Ford
link to verify that this is the
F-150 under the
proper
driver's seat.
hood because I
From
couldn't
search
find
warrant.
it. And again, I don't have links to any of these
That
things. I don't.
same search.
But there's
that
new
day.
colors. Darn it! I can't buy another. I can't buy more things.
I don't quite, Your Honor, I object on the basis of relevance. I don't know why a bullet from nobody's car that's involved in this would be relevant.
Admitted over objection.
Thank you.
Leggings, always leggings. And today we've got UGG boots on. Some days it's just slippers.
Okay, what other exhibits do we have there?
These are magazines.
Emily, I hate to say it, but thus far the state's case
Containing
seems weak. It's all
ammunition.
circumstantial. Circumstantial does not equal
One
weak.
of them
To me, circumstantial is how
contains
most
300
cases are
blackout
made,
ammunition collected from the
and
shelf
we
in
haven't seen all the
gunroom.
pieces yet. So
And
we
then
have
the
like
other
half
one
of
is
a puzzle.
magazine containing
Real hard
cartridges, 300 blackout
to decide what the
cartridges
puzzle looks
collected
like
from
when
the
we only
black
have pieces
Ford
of it. So
F-150.
there's definitely a lot of questions. It's not an easy case,
This items collected
for
from the
them.
black F-150.
but circumstantial does not equal weak. Circumstantial evidence is what most cases are built on.
It was.
So that doesn't bother
And
me.
where was that truck at?
If I remember correctly, it was in front of the residence.
So they're talking about the
It
Ford
was a truck
F-150,
that
the
was on
black one.
property?
Yes, it was on the property.
Was it on the property the night of the murders?
It might have been the one that was parked off, away from the workshop.
Do you know why that truck was searched that day?
It was on the property, and the search warrant included vehicles.
Okay. And those items were found inside that vehicle?
Yes, one of these was.
Okay. And what is the other one?
That's from the shelf in the gunroom. The one from the gunroom.
What's the one from the gun room?
So they're pulling up something from the gun room. I have a question for my kiddo. Oh, God.
Okay, so State's Exhibit 152, what did you say that was?
A magazine containing 300 blackout ammunition collected from the shelf in the gun room.
This again, all the foundation.
So it would move
That's
states
needed.
152 into evidence.
Okay.
And then,
Kalani,
And then we
she
had,
is a shoe and tire
states
expert. Why is she
258.
looking at the shell
What was
casings?
that?
She marked and collected the evidence.
Cartridge,
So this is
collected
chain
from
of
the
custody
worktop
foundation.
bench.
That's why.
Head stamped Barnes 300 BLK.
Good question, but that's why. Chain of custody. Was the white truck on the property? Would they have permission to search it? They would have had to either been, it was not on the property. They would have had to either been given permission to search it. It would have been searched subsequent to being towed when they found it.
Any other, items that day when,
but I don't remember
the
what they
property
said.
was searched?
I don't believe so.
So
All right, let's go back.
I
a
believe the
little bit
gallery
with
members have to wear
testimony
badges
from,
because they have to be
referring
checked
the,
in and their phones are
300
taken.
blackout that you collected from Agent McAllister. If you wouldn't mind looking back at your notes.
Yo Dill, Hank Dillamus, and Cappy Dill offense.
I believe.
thank you for the suggestions for the name of the pickle.
testified that was item 34. that-
Poot the pickle?
But that was
Pickle
actually
poot?
item 33.
Pickle poot might
is
be
the
funny.
Palmetto State Armory PSA PA 15
OMG, Dana, I'm so
multi-rifle
glad.
with the night scope.
Yes.
That is item 33, the gun.
The truck that was identified
I have that
as
the
Paul's
night vision scope
was the white
33.
Ford F-250,
I
not
believe
the
if you'll
black
look
Ford
closely, you'll
F-150.
see where the gun with the night
Okay,
vision.
yeah. It's
So
the,
that.
the gun with the scope on it, yes.
Is that correct?
That's right.
The gun with the night vision scope.
I'm
being item
confused. Is the gun room in the house or in the kennel? In the house, in the main house. Were the bullet casings
And
checked for
then,
fingerprints? I'm sure
to
some of them
clarify,
were.
item
We haven't heard yet
34
though.
would
We
be
haven't gotten there.
the 130-round magazine containing the multiple S&B 300 blackout cartridges. Is that right?
Right. It was separated from the gun when I took custody
Thank
of it.
you, Ann. I
logged them
appreciate
as
that.
Separate items.
All right, but you did collect those from Katie Foster.
That's right.
My dad's gun room is like a secret room,
And also,
padlocked with a
going
thumb
back
scanner,
to
and all the guns are in
scene,
cabinets locked
you
with trigger locks. That
mentioned
makes
a
sense.
projectile that was found near a tire impression.
Cameras were asked about
Yes.
earlier in the morning. They have deer cameras.
We were setting up to
but no
take
cameras around the
examination
house.
quality photographs of the tire impressions at marker 8. We located another fired projectile that was lying on the ground.
This was
I'm
not
going
their
to show you
primary
State's
residence.
Exhibit
It was elsewhere.
250.
This was the hunting
You'll take
house.
a
They had a
look
beach
at that.
house and a primary residence.
Could you tell us what that is?
And this is that projectile near the tire impression.
Your Honor, the state removes State's Exhibit 250 into evidence.
Miss Opinion, that's funny. That's funny.
Your Honor, I believe that is finally all we have for.
Oh, no, it's
Your
not.
Honor.
Are we almost done? Are we getting to cross? Everybody's tired. Are we done? I already wrote cross in my notebook. Can we do that?
Agent Worley.
Damn
I'm
it!
gonna Take a look at Mark Bisley's State's Exhibit.
Just kidding. Emily, you wrote too soon. I was ready to move on. Yes, we're still on direct. We're laying foundation for all the evidence that was collected from the crime scene.
You recall
It's
collecting
tedious
the,
and necessary.
shotgun from Officer Green.
It is not fun.
Yes.
Or Sergeant Green. When you collected that gun,
They're talking about the,
did you swab it?
I did.
they're talking about the,
In the Henry State's Exhibit 259.
Camo-colored
Can you tell us what that
shotgun.
exhibit is?
There was, I took 2 swabs of suspected blood from the side of the shotgun and 2 swabs from the muzzle end of the barrel of the shotgun. That was as a precaution when I was unloading the weapon, the 16 gauge shot shell got lodged in the barrel, and before I placed one of my own dowel rods down the barrel to push it back out, I swabbed the muzzle of the barrel just in case.
abundance of caution to make sure
You
there's no
swapped just in case
biological
what?
evidence.
I didn't want to contaminate any, if there was potential evidence in the barrel.
That's fair.
Or in the muzzle end of the barrel, before I placed my dowel rod in that end of the barrel.
And the other swab, did it appear there was visible blood on that gun?
Yes. Suspected blood, yes.
Okay. And what did you do with those swabs once they were collected?
I packaged them in their envelopes, sealed
Natalie,
them, and transported
what's
them to the lab.
dealio is funny.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move State's Exhibit 259 into evidence.
Okay.
Court's indulgence, Your Honor.
Dilly dally's also funny. This is like nothing like Law and Order. Lies, all lies. Oh yes, they skip over all of this. They get straight to the interesting stuff. This is a lot of foundation. It is a long day of checking, and double checking, and triple checking. What does foundation do? None of this comes in as evidence without proper foundation. All of this needs to come in as evidence, but you have to where it came from, who collected it, how they collected it, what was the chain of evidence, what was done with it, where did it go, where did it stay. All of those things make sure that the evidence collected is actual proper evidence and that they're not just bringing in shit willy-nilly. You know, they need to bring in the evidence, and it is each casing was, this casing was collected with this flag from this location, it was put into this bag, it was sealed in this evidence envelope, and it was chain of custody. And then if they open the envelope and test it, there's initials that they opened it and test it, and then they talk about opening it and testing it, what tests were done, and then resealing it. So it is a slow process, but they can't argue anything if this evidence doesn't come in. You can't say, oh, these casings were analyzed. Where did the casings come from? Oh, I got them out of the evidence locker. Okay, but who put them in the evidence locker? So this sets up all the rest of the testimony. And if this doesn't come in, the rest of the evidence doesn't come in. So that.
Did you collect some additional items from?
Hopefully that made sense.
Croft?
So that's what the foundation.
I'm going to have you take a look at
Pooter,
State's Exhibit
good old lawyer pickle
260.
name. Pooter the pickle. Pooter dill. I beg the Emily D. Baker indulgence in asking to please name the pickle Dick, as in
I believe these
Rick
are
and
the ones
Morty
I took
reference,
custody
Pickle
of
Rick.
from Katie McAllister.
I will take it under advisement. Pickle suggestion.
And
Dilicus curae instead of amicus. Dilicus. I like the play on the
Mark
legal names.
State's Exhibit 260 for identification
Catching up curious since
purposes
AM said
only
they had about 25
is
guns.
cartridge cases.
Why didn't they collect them all? I don't know if they did or didn't.
That Agent Worley took custody of from Katie McAllister.
Any chance Maggie and Paul may have been cleaning up after
And
the
then
dogs
also
killed a chicken?
These
Maybe.
items, 40 through 44.
Well, could be.
Which would be State's Exhibit
My grandma used to yell at the TV.
212,
Everyone you yell at
255,
the TV, I have questions that makes me think of her.
256,
I definitely yell at the
257.
TV. My whole family does. My kids and I need to just watch movies at home because
For
we're those people.
identification purposes only.
We need to. We need to be able to talk through it and sometimes talk
And what
over
are
it.
those?
These are the other items I took custody of from Katie McAllister.
Items collected by Katie McAllister and Ethan's.
Right.
Oh, we might have to do a whole like March Madness of pickle names. We had to do
Just take it off
two.
for exhibits 260.
We had to do two to name food court.
255, 256.
Do you think Alex attorneys believe he's innocent? I don't know if they care. Truly, I don't think they think the state can prove their case. And for them, that's better.
I'm not quite sure what they are. If Ms. Gu would come here, we can perhaps have a brief discussion.
Listen, Dick, you should have been listening to what she said. Pay attention. I'm not sure what they are. She just told you. She just did the whole list of questions. We're allowed to not listen. You have to listen. May I beg the court's indulgence? Come explain to me everything this witness just said. Stop. Stop. Motion to change Emily D. Baker to Emily Dill Baker. Maybe that's what the D stands for. Emily is doing a pickle poll at the end of trial. Yes, I am, but I'm here for the suggestion. At some point, we'll have to move forward. Is this a power play by Dick? No, I think he's falling asleep after lunch.
Submitted for identification purposes.
What's the dealio? It's funny. I'm very thrown that some of the chat are already leaning against the prosecution. We're barely in the beginning of this. Wait for the end to judge. I think if you're leaning anyway, it's the prosecution hasn't overcome the presumption of innocence yet. And I think that's fair. Because people have their opinions, and I think that's fair. As long as everybody keeps an open mind, it's like, it seems that the prosecution hasn't swayed me yet, but we're very much into the We're very much in the foundation laying phase of this. We haven't moved much forward
Worley, one more thing.
at all.
State's Exhibit
I think Dick
261
fell
for
asleep.
identification purposes only. Can you tell us if these are items
Use
that you received
for
into
all
your
the
custody?
predicament moments. I need a nap.
Yes,
Emily,
ma'am.
yell when something interesting
how do
happens.
you
I
do
will.
It's my handwriting on the
I don't
this
want to
outer
mess up
packaging.
I don't want to mess up my bun, but I could take a nap too. Just put the
So
hood
there are
up.
quite a lot of items in there that you received from.
Oh gosh,
is it
we're gonna go through
Agent,
each one, aren't we? Okay.
Croft or Agent McAllister?
These, I believe, were ones I took custody of from Lieutenant Todd Shank.
Okay.
Let me open them.
Lieutenant Shank? We haven't
Those are
seen
items
Lieutenant
that you
Shank
took
yet.
custody of.
That's right.
I would have remembered the name.
I logged them in to the lab. I didn't collect them myself. I got them via chain of custody, and then I logged them into the lab.
And that's State's Exhibit 261 for identification purposes only.
Dick is giving me whole man yelling
Any
at the cloud
objection?
squad.
Identification only.
Yes.
That's what she said. She's like, that's what I said.
Smart identification.
That's what I said. Some of these are a little leading because they're foundational, and there's a difference between leading and foundation. So establishing foundation, you're allowed to ask. You don't have to just ask, so what? Somebody has begged the court's indulgence. Brittany B, yes. The jury is sitting there going, ugh. EDB, I left at 9 a.m. PST and this person is still on the stand. Lots of foundation and then some. Lots of foundation, lots of evidence collected. Lots of evidence collected. Lots and lots. And they went through one by one casings, one by one ammo boxes, shoes.
Thank you, Agent Worley. Please answer any questions from the defense.
Cross-examination.
Your Honor, we approach.
It was interesting. She said, thank you, Agent. Please answer any questions from the defense.
And
He wants to break for the day.
if we begin this afternoon, afraid Monday morning, I'm going to have to go through everything I went through today.
Dick wants to be done for the day.
Some continuity there, and no offense to the jury, but I'm not sure
Dick.
I'll remember what I did today on Monday. So I would ask you if we could go ahead and take our weekend break today.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will recess.
Yes! Dick for the win!
weekend and resume
Dick!
at
Dick did
9:30 Monday morning.
Dick did the things. Thank
We
you,
will not
Dick.
discuss the case.
Good job, Dick. Yay, Dick. Hey, Trav, he's a lawyer on the case. I swear, he's a lawyer on the case. Hey, would you do me a favor? Would you give me a lemon lime Waterloo? My kid's home. Dick, you did it! This is the most pleased I've been with Dick in a long time. Thanks, Dick. I'm thrilled. Ha! It's 3:30 Central. It's 4:30 in the East. It's fair. And he's right. I won't even remember what I've done on Monday. It's totally fair. This is going to be hours of cross-examination. The court has not recessed yet, so I'm not turning this off. The jury is being excused, and then they will decide what time they're coming back. Yeah, my son walked in as I was screaming about Dick and was standing in the doorway laughing.
9:30 Monday morning, yes.
Is the court in recess? He didn't say it was in recess. Thanks, buddy. He did not say the court was in recess, but they've killed the audio. They have not killed the cameras. Rob was saying judge cutting him off and letting the jury go before Dick could finish getting the words out of his mouth. Yeah, the judge was just done. Hi. The court's over. No, it's not sad. We're glad. It's been a long morning. We've been here since 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Central. So I've been sitting at this desk doing that. All right. Do you need something? No, I just want to say hi. You just want to say hi? All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later. Will you send me the link? Tickets? Okay, we'll find it. I hope the pep rally was good. All right, y'all. Said like a teenager. All right. We need a pickle yodel. We do need a pickle yodel. We do need a pickle yodel. We did. Emily just said this is the most pleased she's been with Dick. With this particular, with her pootliad, with the attorney, not like in the broader scope of things. We don't need the internet shading Dr. B.
All right, y'all, it's Friday. We've made it. We've got the pickle. We're ready.
Boring, tedious.
Well, I think that was just perfect. Y'all, I am thrilled to be here. We've got a funky beat for the pickle, and we are ready to go. All right, let's do a wrap up. It's the end of the day.
Time to get punchy. But yes, the second he was like, well, Your Honor, it's going to take hours. It's going to take hours. Can we just resume Monday? The judge is like, yes, fuck yes, let's do, yes, all the yes, get out. Let's go. That was painful. Oh, y'all, we made it through. We have survived. I am so tired. You made my Friday. It's time to swoop. We're going to do a summary. Are you ready to do a summary? My daughter is walking around yodeling. That's the best. My kid thinks this is hilarious. All right, let's do a swoop and we're going to wrap up. So this afternoon, a lot of evidence was marked. Some of it was admitted, some of it was not. And we learned that there were bullets and ammo cases in a lot of places, that the seatbelt was taken entirely out of the Chevy Suburban, and that everything was marked into evidence, or most things were marked into evidence individually. That's what we did this afternoon. We did not get to cross-examination of witness Clarice. No, that is not the sled agent's full name. That is because she looks exactly like a movie character. I'm looking for her name. And I've already lost it. It's in my notes. It's been a long afternoon. My brain is tired from listening to how many exhibits were marked. And I didn't even listen all that closely because eventually Agent Worley was just saying, yes, I collected this here, and yes, I collected that there. And that's about what happened this afternoon. I imagine we're going to get a big old cross-examination on Monday morning. They're going to have lots of time to reflect on the evidence so far. The thing we did learn from this agent is those search warrants were executed the night of the murders and the next day for vehicles and things like that. The house, the home on Moselle, was not searched till 3 months later. Outbuildings were searched, cars were searched, but the residence was not searched. So the defense is going to be arguing out of both sides of their mouths on this. It's like, this was a rush to judgment. They thought he was a suspect. Well, if they thought he was a suspect and he was in the house, wouldn't they go search the house for like suspecty things? Like, did you ditch the clothes? Did you wash the clothes? Is there blood in the washer dryer? Did you do a load of laundry? Like, what's happening? So there's that consideration. And then the other consideration is the defense is going to argue they thought he was a suspect, a rush to judgment, and so they didn't feel the need to search his house because they knew it was him. We'll see how that sorts out in their argument. I am very curious about it. Did they search his mother's house? I never heard of them searching his mother's house where he went. And we know that he went there. He said he did. We're going to hear from the mother's caregiver. That's someone on the witness list. Whew, but it was a lot. It was a lot of tedious foundational evidence. That foundation has to be laid. You can't get to the expert who took the gun casings and matched them to other bullet casings around the property until you get to the person who collected those casings. You have to establish the chain of custody. And that's what they did. They established the chain of custody. It was mind-numbing for all of us. It is not the most riveting court. This afternoon was not riveting at all. I think at one point it looked to me like Dick Harpootlian was falling asleep. He was just texting, but it looked like he was falling asleep. It was just. So with that, we're going to get to questions. We're going to fuck around, and then we will be back here live streaming Monday right before 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. There is, for those of you still here, don't forget to do the YouTube-y, likey, subscribe-y things. I appreciate you. I'm a YouTuber and I appreciate it. There is a Quick Bits episode out on my short form channel. You can just put in Quick Bits in YouTube and you should find it, or Emily D. Baker Quick Bits. It's also a podcast if you just want to listen on your favorite podcasting app, Emily D. Baker Quick Bits on your favorite podcasting app. And that has a summary of Monday through Thursday, me talking about opening statements and other things. The Emily Show podcast is a longer form podcast, and I did a breakdown of everything that's going on with that blood spatter expert. I also have a playlist of the podcast that backs up the timeline of the Murdaugh family and a few other podcasts that cover the Murdaugh family murders. So with that, I think, hold on, I need to check my phone. I think I'll be on Court TV tonight. I don't know what time. I will share it when I do know what time, but I think I will be on Court TV this evening. Let me see what I'm pulling up my calendar and seeing. We've got a placeholder. So I think I'll be there this evening. If I am, I'll share it. If I am, they air it on their website. It is not always live on YouTube, and that's courttv.com. Anita, never qualify your question. It's fine. Ask questions. I don't expect the chat to know that stuff. That's what I'm here for. If everyone knew this, I wouldn't have a job. So no, there are never stupid questions. But why do they have to establish chain of custody in front of the jury? Can't they just do it with the judge before the trial officially starts? No, because if there are issues with the chain of custody, the jury is the fact finder and it needs to be argued in front of them. So no, this needs to happen in front of the jury. It also eliminates the jury's questions, especially post television that deals with things like this. You know, post CSI, you've got to explain to the jury where stuff came from, because you're going to have people on the jury going, where did they get that? And where did they get this? And then you also have to tell the jury things like, this bullet came from there and this bullet came from here. They need to see it and they need to know the foundation is there. So no. And the defendant has the right to have the jury decide all of it. Could the attorneys make motions in theory for that? I've never seen it happen. Ever. I've never seen it happen outside the presence of the jury. Ever. Question. I remember the other day it was a problem that Dick thanked the judge. So in what circumstance is that isn't okay? Oh, you know what? I should swoop and go to questions. We should fack around and get to questions and then wrap for the day. I think I told you all the places to find me and do the YouTube things. You know what it is. Y'all are smart. Let's go. So I just grabbed that question. We're going to get back to it. I remember at the end of the other day, that was just yesterday. Just yesterday. I remember the other day, it was a problem that Dick thanked the judge. So in what circumstance is it or isn't it okay? It's not okay. It makes it seem as if the judge is favoring one side or the other. I've never seen an attorney do that in court, where the judge says, the judge rules on an objection, because normally it's objection, hearsay, overruled or sustained, or they'll ask counsel for argument. And then you move on. I've thanked the court when it's, may it please the court, this, and that, and the court gives me an answer, not ruling on my objection, but an answer. Okay, thank you, Your Honor. And then we proceed, but not for every single objection. And it clearly rubbed the judge the wrong way. Well, you can't just put evidence in all willy-dilly. I think that's fair. Loaded 300 BO mag in gunroom. Why load a shotgun and not the AR? I don't know, but there was a loaded shotgun in the gunroom, so I don't know why not the AR. It's very, very clear. They found the blue rain poncho at Mom's house. I have no idea, and we definitely haven't gotten into that yet. Stacks of pickles. We love a pickle stack or a cucumber stack. Funkadilly pickle. Law and Crime has the full squad video of the Murdaugh in-squad interview on their YouTube channel. We will go grab that at another time because we've already heard that entire interview. Or should we go look? Keep trying to suggest for pickle name Mr. Elmo. Mr. Elmo is always good. I just like prosecutors, as I was wrongfully prosecuted, placed in legal jeopardy, so the state had to reimburse me. That's good to know that the state had to reimburse you. I think it definitely varies by jurisdiction, but I've never seen the state, reimburse someone for damage done in a search or the service of a search warrant or anything like that, unless there is a civil lawsuit and they pay in a civil lawsuit. That I've seen. I am coming up with pickle names to avoid writing a paper on the Advisory Commission on Public Diplomacy. Yes, I am. I'm trying to get Del Caso to take hold. Vincent Van Gogh and Pablo Del Caso. I appreciate the advocacy for Del Caso. Nicholas, watching you while having physical therapy for my torn meniscus. Ouch. Already made my videos for the weekend. So good to relax. Great. Well, I hope this feels relaxing. Today felt a little mind numbing. So if he wins, can they retry him for conspiracy? Not generally conspiracy to commit murder, but as I said, I want to look a little bit more into double jeopardy and what this state says, because I think there's a lot of questions there. I'm going to just look out of an abundance of curiosity at what is up. I'm going to see if it's let's see. Police interview, Alec Murdaugh breaks down. It does show what he's wearing. It definitely shows that he's sweating. So let's just pull this up real quick. Yeah, it's 34 minutes long. No, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but also here it is. But also here it is. But also here it is. So let's just take a look real quick, because then you get a little bit more of his demeanor and stuff. So this is the deputy that was on the stand earlier today. We have not heard from the other deputy. We see the khaki shorts that are like olive green khaki style shorts. There's audio. Let's just see a little. Is there audio? I've got audio. I don't hear anything. Nope, I hear zero audio. Why do I hear zero audio? I hear absolutely zero audio. I wonder if they just have the video and no audio. But I don't hear any audio. Let me refresh this. This might just be the video with no audio, depending on the camera. That's a dramatic thumbnail, but I get it. But he is sweating, and she did comment that the shirt didn't look sweaty. The, other officers are wiping their face. There might not be audio. She was saying the clothes look fresh. There is audio. All right. It starts after 30 seconds. Okay. Starts after 30 seconds. So we'll give the audio a second. It might start recording when they officially tell him they start recording. There we go. Thanks, chat. It is a strange case. So they just put the time on the record. He's got 2 pairs of reading glasses, it seems.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, state your full name for me, please.
But everybody's
Richard
sweating.
Alexander Murdaugh.
And spell your last name so I get it correct.
The officer did think the shirt was too dry for the heat.
Daugh.
All right.
But it's
And you go by
interesting.
Alec?
Yes, sir.
What's interesting, though, is that it seems to be the same shirt he was in, because the police have been there since 10 o'clock. This is at almost 1 a.m. This is 3 hours later. And with it being almost 3 hours later, this is the condition of his shirt. He wouldn't have changed before, or in between the officers being there. So he doesn't look wet from the rain either, but he wouldn't have had time to change since the officers got there at, what time did the officers get there? At, 10:20 in the evening till almost 1 a.m. He would have been in the same thing. There would have been no opportunity for him to change. So that's interesting to me. He pronounces it Murdaugh.
May 27th, 1968.
And a good phone number for you.
He says his birthday is 1968. The internet says his birthday is 1958. He looks a lot older in court than he does here. Is this man really 55 years old? I got questions. He says 68. The internet says 58. I need to look at his charging documents. Hold on. I'm going to play this, so I've got questions.
803-942-1227.
All right, sir.
I'm going to go look at his booking
And sir, what was
info
your name?
and see,
Danny Henderson.
Okay.
because they'll have his date of birth on that.
All right. As I stated, I'm David Owen in Lower Rutland with Colleton County, and I'm with SLED. I hate to have to do this.
I
but,
understand.
yeah,
I totally
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
So you don't have any problem
Yeah.
with
His date of birth listed on his booking photo is 54 years old. So both listed. I didn't see the birth. I saw Maggie's birthday. I didn't see his. But he gave 1968, and his booking information from Colton County shows him as 54, not 64. So we had lots of debate today about whether he was born in 68 or whether he was born in 58. They say 68 in this, and his booking photo says 54. So there we go. So this is the officer deputy who is interviewing him. This is the officer sheriff's deputy who testified earlier. This is his lawyer that was at the scene, and this is him. So he is, there you go, 54. I know the chat said it earlier. The chat was like 54, 64, 54, 64. 54 is what his booking photo says and what his birthday says. So that's where we're at. Jen, you weren't alone. A lot of people said 54 earlier. So the online, some of the articles say he was born in 58 and some say 68. Google says he was born in 58. A lot of places say he was born in 58. So, let's see. Let's keep going.
So, just start at the top, take your time.
Like when I came back here,
Start at the top.
I mean, I pulled up and I could see him, and you know, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad. My boy over there, I could see it was.
So that's his lawyer. I just want to know how long crime got this so fast.
Sorry.
And I could see his brain on.
We heard this earlier.
And I ran over to Maggie, and actually, I think I tried to turn Paul over first. You know, I tried to turn him over, and I don't know, I figured it out. His cell phone popped out of his pocket. I started to try to do something with it, thinking maybe, but then I put it back down really quickly.
Thinking maybe what?
Then I went to my wife, and
So he says he touched the cell phone and that he was trying to do something with it. I don't know what, but he was trying to do something with it, maybe.
I mean, I could see.
Did you touch Maggie at all?
I did. I touched them both.
Okay.
I tried to take, I tried to do it as limited as possible, but I tried to take their pulse on both of them.
So again, he does say he tried to touch he touched them both. We don't know if he touched Paul and the Maggie. It sounds like he did. We don't know if there's any blood or anything on Maggie from Paul, if there was any transfer, don't know. But he doesn't appear to have blood on his hand here. The Law and Crime Network logo, I would suggest maybe if they could put it in the middle, because we would love to see this hand to see if there's blood on his hand, but we will, I'm sure, see this video elsewhere.
And, you know, I called 911.
Jamila, I'm surprised too, girl.
Pretty much right away. And she was very good.
That struck me as odd earlier.
I talked to her. I told her I was going to get off the phone to call some family members. I did that.
What family members did you call?
I called my brother Randy, and I called my brother John. And I tried to call a little boy, real good friend that's right around the corner from here, but I didn't get him.
Okay. What all
Well,
was
the facial
around,
expressions match the noises from
Paul
earlier.
when you walked up?
Blood.
Anything else?
I mean, there were some body things, yes, sir.
I mean, like any other evidence? I know you said the phone fell out the pocket, but did you see anything else that didn't belong or shouldn't belong or that wasn't part of Paul?
No, sir, not the, no, sir.
How about Maggie?
No, sir.
You didn't see anything around them?
He was on the phone with 911 when
What
he
made
went
you
to
come
go
out
get the
here
gun.
tonight?
I went to, my mom's a late stage Alzheimer's patient. My dad's in the hospital.
It's easier to understand him and see him.
My
I
mom
agree.
gets anxious.
The
when she
audio on this
does.
is much
I
better
went
than
to
in
check
court.
on them and Maggie. Maggie's a dog lover, and she fools with the dogs. And I knew she'd gone to the kennel. I was at the house. I left the house and went to my mom's for just a little while. Tried to call her when I left. Texted her, no response. When I got back to the house was obviously nobody was in there. So I figured they're still up here fooling around. Paul was gonna be getting set up to plant. Our sunflower seeds got sprayed
Yes.
and died, and
This is the shirt that was tested.
refiguring to plant the sunflower seeds. So
I
came back up here and I drove up and saw.
Oh, same. Paula, same.
And call.
This is much easier to understand. And it's a second listen, and that makes it easier too.
Had Maggie and Paul been arguing over anything?
No.
What was their relationship like?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. How about yours and Maggie's?
Wonderful.
He paused. Are the texts there? Yes, we heard that the texts were there in opening statements. We heard the prosecution's theory that those were a manufactured alibi, and we will see his phone on this video because what we heard in court is that you could see the phone when he pulls it out to look at time and stuff. So we will be able to see that. I'm glad we have the video.
I mean, I'm sure we had little things here and there, but we had a wonderful marriage, wonderful relationship.
And yours and Paul's relationship?
Emily, that's what
good
we've
as it could
heard.
be.
I don't know if the jury will hear any evidence of
How
that.
old was Paul?
22.
Okay. You know his date of birth?
So I don't know.
I do. April 11th, 96 is his brother's. April 14th, 99 is Paul's.
And how about, what's Maggie's full name?
Margaret Brandstetter Murdaugh.
And her date of birth, sir?
September 15th, 1968.
Have y'all been having any problems out here? Trespassers,
None
people
that,
breaking in?
none that I know of. The only thing that
Wouldn't
what
you know
comes
if
to
somebody
my
was breaking
mind
in?
is my son Paul was in
Boat
a boat
accident.
wreck a couple years ago, and there's been he was charged with being arrested for being the driver. There's been a lot of negative publicity about that, and there's been a lot of people online just really vile stuff. But when Paul's out and about, I mean, people routinely, I don't think I know the full story, so I don't think they give it to me, but I mean, he's been punched and
The
hit
family doesn't
and
give him the
just
full story?
attacked a lot.
Is that what he means?
So,
What do you think?
but
That like his
I
wife
mean,
and son
nothing
don't
like
tell him
this.
everything?
Yeah. Any one person in particular or group of people
I don't know.
that you could think of?
It's not that I know, no, sir.
Has he, other than being assaulted, has he received any direct threats related to the boat accident?
Oh, yes. All the time he gets
Recently?
threats. Yes, sir. I mean, he gets them all the time.
It'll be
He
interesting to
gets
see
them
if those
all
were reports
the time.
or if there was evidence of that
What
on his
kind
cell
of- I
phone.
mean-
The defense
I'ma
could have gone
kick
through his
your
social
ass,
media. And if I'm the defense, I would have gone through.
I've never been privy firsthand, you know.
If I'm the defense, I would have gone through all his social.
Is that through social media or?
No, ma'am. It's mostly like if he goes out places is what, you know, what he goes out like somewhere.
True, the defense
He's in
has said
college,
that's
so if he
not
goes
accurate.
out,
I've heard
is
that
what I
too.
understand.
But the defense
I
had
can
said that's
find out
not
better
accurate.
details from some of his younger friends on that.
So we'll see if it comes in.
His best friend.
His best friend in Colombia is Will's
Yep.
Chapman, Will Loving, Bobby Boyle.
I will say after we get into this, we get into some wild theories from the grounds about the groundskeeper. So it'll be interesting to see what he's saying with that. And I know there have been reports that Maggie was meeting with divorce attorneys. There have been reports that he and Paul were fighting over money because the financial crimes with the Mallory Beach boat case and other financial issues were starting to kind of crumble. So it's very interesting to see. So, wonder why he put up cameras, or I'm guessing, Debbie, you mean why he wouldn't put up cameras with all the threats? I think he thought at their house they were untouchable. They're also on 1,700 acres. So if they're out there, if they're physically there, you're going to see the headlights coming from the main house well before anyone gets to your house. But he says they don't have any cameras out there. So anyway, they said the gun was stolen out of Paul's car in opening. They said the gun was, they intimated that the gun could have been anywhere because Paul was irresponsible and left the gun. But now we know that Paul's car was left on the side of the road by the uncle, but it wasn't left on the side of the road by the uncle until the uncle was driving to get to the crime scene, which is interesting. So Emily, do you know when the ME is scheduled? And that's for everybody else, the medical examiner. I want to go to the courthouse that day, they're called. I don't know when the medical examiner is scheduled. And I have not seen them releasing who's coming day by day to the media. So
Bull, Will Chapman, and Paul were getting ready to move into a house together in Colombia.
You said Will Chapman and Will Loving?
Will's with an S,
okay.
Chapman,
Will's.
Will with an L, Loving.
Okay.
Will's and Will.
Around here, his best friends are clearly Nolan Tootin and Rogan Gibson.
It's interesting that he says his best friends are clearly, as if this officer should know who your
Tootin?
22-year-old's
Nolan
best friends
Tootin.
are.
Yes, sir.
It's just
And
interesting.
what was the other one? I'm sorry.
Rogan Gibson.
Have you talked with any of these guys tonight?
Talked with Nolan, yes, sir.
Is he out here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Nolan,
I tried to call Rogan, was one of the people he's the boy that I told you lives
Okay,
around the corner.
okay.
he
That's
called
there.
his friends,
You
his
know,
son's
he's
best
just a
friends
good,
to come to the
helpful young
house.
Man. You mind if I open the door really quickly?
Go right ahead. Do what you need to do.
He needed to spit.
So is there anybody that you can think of that we need to talk to tonight? Is there a name that comes to mind?
I mean, I can't tell you anybody that I'm overly suspicious of off the top of my head.
Okay.
You know?
This is supposed
I
to
mean,
be
this
the
is such
aggressive
a
questioning.
stupid thing. I'm even embarrassed to say it. But it
Then
just
don't.
didn't make any sense. I just hired a guy out here, and he wasn't cutting the mustard, but I hadn't told him this yet. Paul's
Just
been
buckle
working
up.
with him a lot. He killed
Just buckle up for the what the fuck is this story. Just buckle up.
sunflower seeds in our dove field just recently, which is why Paul was here doing this. He told Paul a story the other day about how when he was in high school, he got in a fight with some black guys. And the FBI undercover team observed him fighting those guys and put him on an undercover team with 3 Navy SEALs. And that their job was to kill radical Black Panthers. And they did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah.
You want me to believe that the FBI saw some dude get in a fight when he was in high school, and then the FBI put him with some Navy SEALs. The FBI Navy SEALs is so different. So then the FBI places the dude with the Navy SEALs, the high schooler, places the high schooler with the Navy SEALs, and their job was to go up and down the East and kill radical Black Panthers. What in the fuck is this story? The cops are like, what did you just say? Recruited from high school to SEAL Team 6. Recruited from high school to, he didn't say 6. Recruited from high school to SEAL Team. He's just retelling what he heard. If he heard this, it's just so weird. And now he's the groundskeeper. Yes. It's just the strangest story that, what? When we heard this in court, I was like, what is happening?
You mind if I open the door really quick?
Oh, I went back too far.
Team observed him fighting those guys and put him on an undercover team with 3 Navy SEALs. And that their job was
it was an undercover team through the FBI with 3 Navy SEAls. I'm clear now.
To kill radical Black Panthers. And they did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah. Now, I really don't think this guy, is probably the person, but that's...
I don't think this guy is probably the person. That's interesting languaging about the groundskeeper. And I think this will come up again. Emily said, my guy, even if you heard this story, you know it's not true, but he is planting seeds that it's the groundskeeper. It's just odd. The detectives are like, what? And the lawyer, look at the lawyer in the back seat.
Carl Rogan was one of the people he's the boy that I told you lives around the corner. Okay. That's very, he's just a good, helpful young man. You mind if I open the door really quick?
Oh, I went back too far.
Tired a guy out here. Radical Black Panthers. And they did that from Myrtle Beach to Savannah. Now, I really don't think this guy, is probably...
I really don't think this guy is probably the one who did this. It's a very odd way to say it. So for me, I would be going back through this as a prosecutor being like, what? Wait, what? Probably is a weird word to drop in there.
The person, but that's just so friggin'.
Yeah, that's kind of far-fetched story.
That's weird, but he was off today.
Okay.
He took his daddy to the doctor.
That's kind of a far-fetched story.
What's his name?
Yep.
C.B. Rowe.
R-O-W-E?
Yeah, and I sent him a message to text me earlier today about the sunflowers, and he called me back when I was on the way to my mom's house.
Did you talk to him at that time?
Briefly. I was on the phone with a lawyer friend of mine named Chris Wilson from Bamberg, so I told him I'd call him.
We're going to hear more about him
tomorrow. See him in the morning.
When you briefly talked to Mr. Rowe, what was his demeanor or attitude? Or
I mean, it seemed normal. I mean, I asked him about the sunflowers, and so, I'm sure he's a little bit.
Where does he live?
I don't exactly know. Somewhere in Bronson.
Okay. Do you have his phone number?
I do.
You got it with you, please, sir?
I do. But I do think him and Paul got along pretty well.
I think every time he talks about lawyers, he mentions that they're lawyers because he holds himself in that high of esteem.
All right.
So I think that's why.
CB's
on the witness list, I believe.
Right there in your lap.
Here, I know he called me, so I'll go.
The readers definitely are giving my life. Yep. It's like, let me put this on. He's still very pissed off about the sunflowers. The sunflower seeds were planted in the dove field. Like, he's not happy about that at all. Alec was an attorney at this time. He's been disbarred. But he holds himself in very high esteem as a lawyer.
Is that an iPhone?
Yes, sir.
He already wiped his glasses with the shirt once at least.
Thank you.
His phone is plugged in the car.
When did he tell that story to Paul?
Sometime last week.
Okay.
Dilly Parton is excellent.
My son Paul actually, and I really do not think, on all honesty, that it's him, but I know y'all got to check it out. But Paul was so taken aback by it.
Are these text messages?
That he sent, I'll find it. I got it on my phone. He recorded him saying bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
No.
They are recording this in the car because it's raining outside.
But for all his weirdness, I mean, I do think.
And there's nowhere else to interview him. There's no building. They're not going to stand in the rain and do it.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Lots of
How long
interviews
had he been working
happen this way.
I guess about 3 or 4 pay periods, so 8 weeks, a couple months.
Okay.
Eleanor. I'm not saying it was this guy, but I'm saying it could be, but I don't think it's him. But though,
Going back to the boat incident,
Curtis Eddie Smith in his
anybody
interview with
on
police
that
mentions
boat?
the groundskeeper as well.
Really have a hard on for Paul that you would think would come after him, or know of any direct threats from people on the boat?
I don't know of any direct threats between any of the people on the boat specifically, but I do think there's been a small amount of yip-yap between a couple of them, but not recently.
Okay.
Most of this was stuff from people that Paul didn't really know.
Okay.
The people
There were
harassing
some
Paul.
people that he knew distantly, but more times than not, when I learned about it, it was somebody that he didn't know.
And that's the harassment from the boat case.
It's like, for example, he went out in Charleston a couple months ago, came back, he got a black eye. And, he can't defend himself right now because he has these charges. So, Paul was a real tough man's man.
Mm-hmm.
He would just...
He would defend himself, but he hadn't been.
That's right, but...
How is he handling that case, looming over everybody?
As far as what?
How is he handling it?
I've never been prouder of him than the way he has handled the pressures and the adversity in that situation. I think I've told Danny that before. I mean, Paul is a wonderful, wonderful,
There was a
wonderful
scoff in there that was
kid.
interesting.
He can do almost anything.
Sorry.
He gets along with all.
There was a scoff in there that was interesting. That I couldn't pick up when we just heard the audio.
Came back, he got a black eye. And, he can't defend himself right now because he has these charges. So, Paul was a real tough man's man. He would just...
He would defend himself, but he hadn't been.
That's right, but
he's got...
How is he handling that case, looming over everybody?
As far as what?
How is he handling it?
I've never been prouder of him than the way he has handled the pressures and the adversity in that situation. I think I've told Danny that before.
Why does he assume they know who Danny is?
I mean, Paul is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful kid. He can do almost anything. He gets along with almost anybody.
Except for all the harassment. Yeah, there was a weird...
Do y'all store any weapons out here?
We don't store them, but they're frequently out here. I need to find out if there were any out here because I know there was a shotgun. There was a 12-gauge shotgun out here. I'll have to find out exactly when that was. I think it got put up, but I'm not positive.
What did that shotgun look like?
It was a camouflage.
This is not the shotgun he
I
brought
want to
up.
say it was a Benelli or maybe a Beretta. I can't remember which brand it is. But I don't think it was out here
Okay.
recently. But I'm not positive.
And the shotgun that you had when deputies pulled up, where did that come from?
I went to the house and I got a gun. Probably overreacting, but
And was that when you pulled up and saw them?
no, I mean, I came out and I called 911 first.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to them for a little while, and then I told her
You told her?
that I was going to go to the house.
Okay.
And that I would let authorities know when they got here that I had a gun.
Okay. Do you happen to have a list of all your guns?
I can make one. I don't have one, but
Yeah.
I can make one.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, so we could compare if that shotgun was out here and now it's missing.
Absolutely.
Try to figure that out.
I know, absolutely.
And I know living out here in the country, you probably have more than one or two.
We do. We probably have 20, 25 guns,
Yeah. Shotguns,
rifles, pistols.
Any rifles?
Yes, sir.
What kind of rifles?
All kinds.
Yeah.
All kinds. I mean, you name it across the board, we have them.
Okay.
And I mean, all of them we have are, in a hunting room in our house.
So hunt room, not a gun room, same, but in the house, not outside.
What was their schedule today? When did they get home?
My son works for my brother, and he was coming home to deal with the sunflowers. He got here. He got here pretty early because he and I rode around looking at everything for a good little while, probably 45 minutes to an hour. Maggie had things she did in Charleston, and she had a doctor's appointment in Charleston, and she got back here. It was fairly late.
Was it dark yet when Paul got home?
No, Paul got home early.
Early, okay, so before dinner time.
Joanne, it
Oh,
doesn't
yes, ma'am.
surprise me. It's a hunting property.
No,
I
ma'am.
imagine they have hunting parties out there where they have multiple people come out and shoot.
What brother does Paul work for?
John Marvin.
He is definitely not over the sunflowers,
Paul
so it
do
doesn't
for him?
surprise me that they have that many
Everything.
guns.
Just
That's not
handyman
really.
Yes, sir.
thing?
They have numerous deer blinds on the property. It's 1,700 acres. They're going to shoot deer and birds and. So.
Was it unusual for Maggie to feed the dogs this time of night or check on them?
Oh no, I mean she played with those dogs all the time, and it's especially common for her to, she's been gone for a while, to come and let, especially two of them out.
She was
to
at the
run.
beach house.
Okay, so she pretty regularly comes out here in the evenings.
Very regularly.
Okay.
She comes out here.
They
a lot.
also have someone hired to take care of the dogs. So it's not just
Do you have
them
any
giving care
cameras
to the
on your
dogs.
property?
I have deer cameras, but none, around up here.
No cameras.
Where are they at?
on different deer stands.
Okay, so deep in the woods.
Well, not necessarily deep in the woods. Some of them are in fields and
Okay.
but I don't. There's none that are near here.
Okay.
It's my understanding these are hunting dogs.
What doctor's appointment? What doctor did Maggie see today?
I have no idea where the dogs are.
I forget the guy's name. Maggie's been having trouble with her. She's been having trouble with her stomach and her tooth. I'm not positive. It was sort of a routine
Those are two very different doctors.
visit, and I can't remember. She told me the name of him, and I can't. I want to say Gordine
Okay.
is who I think she saw.
So was she back home around supper time? Or 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
I don't think she got back quite that early. I think she got back a little bit later than that.
Okay.
It's a very fair point. True, Virgo. Don't plug your car into a cop car. Also, yes, you don't
What did
normally
you
play
do
with
today?
hunting dogs.
Were you at the office or?
Nope, I was home. I came home. Paul and I messed around. I was up at the house. I laid down, took a nap on the couch, probably, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes. I got up, I called Maggie, didn't get an answer, and I left to go to my mom's. She had said she might ride with me, but she normally doesn't when I go over there. And I think I texted her. And she's very good about answering the phone, so that was odd, or calling me back. So that was odd, but it wasn't that big a deal.
Now, what time was that?
What time was what?
That you sent her a text message?
He seems annoyed with her. Is it me? Or does he seem annoyed every time she asks a question? Am I reading into it? Because he seems snippy. What time was what? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You let me know. Okay. It's just not me. Thanks, chat. Chat's like, yes. He does seem annoyed. Every time she asks something, he's like,
at 9:08, going to check on M, be right back. And then I texted her at 9:47. That must be when I started to come back. I think I called her before that. But let me make sure. Pretty sure that I called her 9:45. And then I tried Paul. And then, no, I think that was riding. I think that might have been riding over there.
So called Maggie, then Pauled.
10:03. I mean, my calls are right here.
Yeah.
So,
Well, could you tell us what time they're at?
obviously this is when
Obviously.
at 10:06.
Obviously, this is when. Obviously, this is when what? She just stopped talking. Obviously, this is when what? Where'd the rest of the thought go? I have questions.
Can I have a piece?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. There you go.
He put them back.
Anybody else
He
want
touched
some
the
gum?
cop's gum, and then put pieces back
You want
in.
water, do you, Dan? I'm sorry. I don't need it.
Behind Danny's head.
Can I have a piece of your
Is,
gum? And then he was
case
like,
of water.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I got some right here.
Oh, well, thank you.
gross.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, this is a super accusatory. So he puts all the gum in his hand and then puts some of them back in. I don't want anyone touching my
I'm sure
stuff.
we're going to have much more questions.
I'm available to act. You know, you let me know.
What's another number in case I can't get you on your cell?
I don't have a house phone.
Okay.
Then he gives his office numbers.
number.
I'm gonna fast forward through the phone numbers.
He's in the hospital.
I was trying to get past the phone
Which-
numbers.
Which hospital? Charleston or?
Savannah, Candler, St. Joseph's.
Is he doing okay or what's?
He's having a really, really hard time. He's got a lot going on.
Okay.
You know, he's doing okay given everything, but he's got a lot going on.
About Maggie's family, where are they?
Somerville.
Have you been in touch with them tonight?
Contacted, yes. I had my brother call
He
Bart,
wasn't fired
the wife of his
from
sister.
PMPED until September.
And
So this
the
is in
husband of
June.
Maggie's sister.
So he was still
so
working
that
there
they
until
could go
September.
and tell Maggie's parents. I felt like they needed to hear it in person.
Because he wants to.
And they
Christine,
were
you
going
can
there
choose
and
to talk.
calling me. So they must not be there yet.
So
Maggie's parents in Somerville?
Yes. And her mom just had a knee replacement surgery, and her dad really has trouble getting around nowadays.
You have any other children?
I do. I have a 24-year-old.
That's right, you said. What's his name?
Buster. Well, Richard Alexander Jr.
Okay. He goes by Buster.
He goes by Buster.
Is he here tonight?
He's on his way.
Okay. Laura, you got anything?
This one's hard, but when you first saw Paul, you said you tried to flip him over. Was he laying on his back or on his stomach?
Just like he is.
Just like he is. So you weren't able to move him. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And did he help Maggie a lot out here with the animals?
He helped everybody with everything.
Okay, so it was kind of routine for him to be out here as well in the evening?
This place is his absolute passion.
Okay.
yes, Desiree, this super aggressive interview
I
includes
tried to
questions
turn
about
him
how
and
his
then I
parents
tried-
are doing.
And I checked him, and I think I already knew, but I checked him.
She's asking the questions that are helpful.
And when you first pulled into the property, did you come from this direction where all our police cars are, or which way did you come
I
in?
went to the house,
Okay.
and then I came from the house
This way.
straight here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, where my vehicle was parked is probably
Is where it was. Okay.
well, no, maybe not exactly, but it was pretty close because I
Okay.
came back the same route
That's right, because you went back to get your shotgun.
when I came
Okay.
back.
I wish she would have just let him expound a little bit more. But she's asking the questions we need, and he gets annoyed. I wish she would have let him just keep going instead of kind of interjecting. Just let him talk.
All right. I can't think of anything else right now, but, you know, we'll certainly be in touch.
Thank y'all for everything y'all are doing.
Yes, sir. So, you know, just to kind of let you know what's going to go on, we're going to be out here for quite some time. The coroner will take custody of Paul and Maggie.
I think this is the call from Buster.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a code on his phone.
What? That's 843. No, let me. We're finished. Let me come out. Well, I'll be here when he gets here.
The super aggressive questioning.
No, don't let him come up here. Okay, yeah. I think we're about done. All right, thank you. I'm sorry.
Buster, getting here? Okay.
Yes, sir. I dropped my card.
We'll get you one.
Sorry.
I'll get you one.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, both officers have reached over to cajole him.
They'll do the autopsy and everything and then go from there.
Hey, Ann, I was being sarcastic
But we'll come to you
because
before we leave.
in the opening
very
statements, the defense attorneys said that the aggressive questioning impacted Alec. So I was commenting on the officers and their questioning, which I found to not be aggressive at all. I found that their questioning very much left things uncovered, but they very much treated him like a witness and like a reporting party and not like a suspect at all. So that's what I was commenting on. Alec is not aggressive at all. Neither are the officers, but the defense said that these interviews were accusatory and aggressive. And so Alec might not have told the police the whole truth because the police officers were aggressive. So that is why I keep using that word, because these officers were empathetic. They asked very mild questions. They tried to comfort him. They apologized for asking things that were difficult. And they were very kind. So that's what I'm talking about. What I'm not talking about is Alec's demeanor. I was talking about the officer's demeanor. So just so we're clear.
Thank you, Mr. Rutland.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
And they tried to comfort him more than once. They gave him gum.
Here, you want this water?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Yep.
They gave him water. They were not, unless there are other, and look, there might be other interviews that are more accusatory, but these interviews were not at all accusatory or aggressive. It did not seem like an interrogation. This seemed literally like an investigation. They were trying to ask the reporting party what happened when they first came upon the scene. So he was very much treated like a reported party. I didn't see that. Wait, we're going to have to back up. That wouldn't surprise me, but I did not see that when they were saying goodbye. So hold on. I just wanted to make that clear because, no, I'm not talking about Alec. So, all right. This is as they're getting ready to go, I think. This is when he answers the phone.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry.
Buster.
Though a lot of interrogations don't take place anywhere outside of a car.
We'll get you one.
They're offering him another card because he couldn't find it.
Here you go.
Thank you.
So the coroner will come over and talk to you. They'll do the autopsy and everything and then go from there.
Thank you.
He seems apologetic that he has to tell Alec.
Thank you very much.
Oh no,
Thank you, Mr. Rutland.
I read that as just
Thank you
a
very much.
thank you. I didn't read that as a grab. That was a pat.
Here, you want this water?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Yep.
So there might be another interview. And they shared their gum. I know. There might be another interview. We might see more. It might change, but this first interview to me is very much questioning a reporting party and trying to keep an open mind. So, wouldn't do it to a man. Probably wouldn't. So, but I thought it was a, hey, thanks. Not a grab. I thought it was a thanks. So, I really think that this was not an interrogation. Yes, they were questioning him. He was clearly not under arrest. He was clearly not detained. He clearly was being asked the things you would ask a reporting party. We need more information. Is there someone we should be looking for? Who was having beef with your kid? Could that be the issue here? Could it be the boat case? Because these officers don't know. And I think, if anything, these officers are hesitant to believe that a father would do this to his family. I think that's exactly what they're going to be hesitant to think the worst. They might keep an open mind that that's a possibility, but I think they are hesitant to think the worst. And this is the person who called 911. This is the person who was on the information. So they're wanting to know more about the boat wreck. They're wanting to know more about other things, and they don't search his house quickly like he is a suspect, which is an interesting thing. So at that point, while they were keeping an open mind, I don't think they thought he was a suspect. And even what we saw in the media and what we saw everywhere is that Alec, after this, was treated as a grieving parent whose family was being targeted. That is the way he was treated in the media. That is the way he was treated by his law firm. They paused the civil case that was going on, and then days later, his father died. That's how they were treating him. So I don't see a rush to judgment in this at all. I don't. At this point, maybe we'll see it. I mean, maybe the rush to judgment is that they didn't think he was a suspect soon enough and waited 3 months to search the house because they were like, well, they searched the whole property. To me, searching the whole property indicates they're looking for external sources of evidence. Somebody that came onto the property, somebody that ditched guns on the property, but they're not looking at the inside of his house, where he changed clothes, those sorts of things. That's not where they're thinking. So it looks to me that they are looking for an external perpetrator. That's what it looks like to me from this police behavior and from the fact that it seems to have taken them 3 months to search the house. All of those cops know who his family is. Yes, and they were asked, do you know them? And some people were like, I don't know him. But yes, they know who this family is. It almost feels like he's giving too many irrelevant details. I want to see what his other interviews say. This is 3 hours after he called 911. This has already been a long night. This is a lot. So I don't know. This is a lot. So I'm not really I want to see more of his interviews, but I'm also not looking for anything that's odd. The oddest thing to me in all of this so far is that he says he checked Paul and tried to turn him. He was checking for his pulse. He was checking for Maggie's pulse, and there is no blood anywhere. That's the oddest thing to me. There should have been naturally some of that. And that's an interesting thing. So we will see what happens. We have a long way to go in this trial. We have a lot of witnesses left. The prosecution has laid a foundation, but so far they have not really started to connect a lot. We know that the timeline and Paul saying, Alex saying he wasn't at the kennels, and then the cell phone showing him he's at the kennels is going to be a thing. It's going to be a sticking point. Is it enough to push the jury from I have questions to he's guilty? I don't know. I don't know if it will be, because hey, he's here when he says he's not there is odd. The cell phone timing is odd. The prosecution's going to say manufactured alibi. The defense is going to say grieving husband. How dare you? And we'll see. So that's going to be interesting. So yes, 911 said he saw her in person. Now he texted her. I think the timing, Lori, is different, because he said he saw her earlier in the evening and then was texting her when he left, but didn't see her when he left. So we'll see. The timing is hard, and that needs to be tightened up, because if we're left with a lot of questions don't get you to a guilty verdict. I have questions does not get you to a guilty verdict with a jury, or at least it shouldn't. If a jury is sitting there going, I got a lot of questions, you shouldn't convict someone unless you're like, yes, I think beyond a reasonable doubt he did it because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this. This was much easier. In the Darrell Brooks case. We had witness after witness after witness saying, I saw you driving the car as you drove the car by me, ran it into people. I saw your face doing the thing. It's different than here. We're not going to have that. We're going to have cell phone evidence. We're going to have blood testing on the shirt. We're going to have the water, and that's what we're going to have. But it's hard, again, to believe, Debbie, why would another killer use the family gun? It's hard to believe that someone in this area that is afraid of this family would have the audacity to come up onto their 1,700-acre property that is rife with weapons and ammo to harm this family. He said his family was being targeted. People in this area seem to be very afraid of him. He also now has pending drug charges. I've heard not a whiff of that, so that's not even a theory that this was involved in that behavior. We haven't heard any of that, but he has been charged with drug crimes. So has the person who he hired to shoot him. So you would generally see in a case, if it was related to retaliation, that you would see some explanation of that, and then it wouldn't be him, right? So we'll see. Lacey asked, do they know it was a family gun? They believe it was a family gun because the casings from the gun range on the property and the casings near the home matched, when you look at the tool marks and etching, the casings at the murder scene. So that the gun that killed Maggie Murdaugh was a gun that had been shot on that property at least multiple times before. So Alec has drug charges, yes. And his co-defendant has quite a lot of charges, including some trafficking charges. There's a lot. When I say there's a lot to this story, there's a lot, and not all of it's going to come in this criminal trial. But there is a lot. There is a lot. And the Creighton Waters, this AUSA, not AUSA, he's not federal, this Attorney General is the one prosecuting all of them. So everything he knows about Alec Murdaugh is a lot. So with that, we have quite a lot of information. We have quite a lot of information. So I saw the question, what is happening with the person hired to kill him? That person's in custody. Alec Murdaugh, I believe, pled to that. He admitted that. I don't know if he pled to that, but he admitted to that it was, and he said it was insurance fraud based, that suicide for hire was insurance fraud based. The other person said, I wasn't hired to kill him. We were fighting over the gun because he was going to kill himself, and then the gun went off. That's what Curtis Eddie Smith has said. So with that, we will need to get on. We've been streaming for 3.5 hours. The mods are probably tired at the end of a long week of streaming. I know my producer and I probably are tired. There was a new episode of Quick Bits out. I'm going to get to a few more questions, and then we are going to zoom. Blues, thank you for the generous super chat. I appreciate it. And Larson, of course you are welcome. I try. Sometimes when I'm tired, it's harder. I try to read in genuineness to all questions in the chat. So I genuinely was trying to read in, wait, why are you saying he's being aggressive? So I tried to genuinely answer that was just a miscommunication. Is his hearing good, awkward with her in the back? That's a very real question, Tamara. And it might be that he just, because she was behind him, could not hear well. Very, very real question. Why was the cop let go connected to this case? I'm not sure, Michaela, I'm not sure what you mean, but why was a cop let go? But the local sheriffs turned this case over to SLED because of a conflict, because of how much they have worked with this family. Now, there are also allegations of this family bribing officers in this area and things like that, and being connected to that behavior. There is a whole lot of wild shit that has been alleged. I don't think any of that will come in, but I also think the local sheriff didn't want anything to do with this. They turned it over to the state agency. This is a massively powerful family. This is a 90+ year legacy law firm. Nope. Y'all do it. Y'all have a multi-million-dollar crime lab and more people and more. Y'all don't know him like we know him, because I think they knew the second his family had been murdered, they knew that no one was going to be happy with the investigation on this. So I think that's why. The house and the kennels are on the same property, so how can they separate the tower pings? We will see, because the property is so large. We will see if there's GPS, and we will see how they do it. I'm curious about that. Why isn't he terrified, even with cops there to protect him at the moment? He should be concerned if there was an assassin on the loose. He said he thought he was overreacting. He didn't seem that concerned when they got there. He didn't seem that concerned when he hung up with 911. He didn't seem scared. He did not. He didn't seem like he was scared that he was being targeted to me. You're welcome, Effie. He was concerned about visiting his mom, but he spent less than half an hour there before running home. I don't know how long the drive is to mom's. He might have spent even less time there because we don't know how long the drive is to where the mother was, but we know that mom's caregiver is on the witness list. Nicholas said if he touched both, leaned down, kneeled down, should be blood somewhere. Should be blood somewhere. I can't do crap on my farm without getting dirt somewhere, and he's clean. He is clean. And I don't think it would be a problem if he had just said, I touched them, I got bloody, and I just put this down here. I put this down here. So it's just wild. So Tracy, he seems to be 54. There was lots. The internet is still confusion over it. Awesome. Thank you, EDB and mods. EDB has a voice changer on a switchboard. Yes, I do. That was answering something else on Facebook. With that, a huge thank you to everyone. Thank you for being Law Nerds. I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. I will probably not be along much this weekend online. Along online much this weekend. My voice is tired. I am tired. My brain is tired. But I will have a new podcast for you next week. And we will have a full week of streaming. The judge got off the bench with the swiftness today. I'm gonna just do that too. I'm gonna get off the bench with the swiftness. Go ahead and do the YouTube things. Thank you for being Law Nerds. Thank you for being here. I will see you on Monday. Bye.
You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at lawnerdshop.com. Connect with me on social media at the Emily D. Baker. And don't forget to check out my podcasts, The Emily Show, and the new podcast, Quick Bits, summarizing everything I talk about on my Tuesday and Thursday live streams. You know, when you only have time for just the quick bits.